What's going on? 6 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans were back on the practice field for OTAs, and Calvin Ridley was turning heads. Brian Callahan was very complimentary.
Everything that we thought it would be. It's always exciting when you sign a guy in free agency and you hope, but you don't always know. You go by what you hear and what you see. And it's always good when the guy gets in the building and you see he's everything that you would expect him to be.
From another wide receiver in the 49ers franchise, finally decided to pay a wide receiver. They made him wait for it, and boy, was it worth it. They signed wide receiver Juwan Jennings, signing him to a 2-year deal worth up to $15.4 million with $10 million guaranteed through 3 years in San Francisco. Jennings caught 78 passes for 963 yards and 7 touchdowns in a limited role. And Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals is tonight. Game starts at 7:30. Mavericks 1 win away from punching their ticket to the NBA Finals as the series shifts back to Minnesota, where the Timberwolves have a 3-4 record at home in the playoffs this year. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Thursday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. A very happy Friday, Junior. On a gorgeous day in Music City, USA. The weather says it is in the 50s. The sun is out. Vibes are immaculate. When are they not? When you wake up in Nashville, Tennessee. You can join us here on the phone lines, 615-737-1045. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling. We've got Coach Tate McGinnis coming up at 7:20. Takeaways from Titans OTA yesterday, plus a big discussion on the Titans defense as Arden Key and Roger McCreary tell some honest truths about the differences between the Bowen defense and the Denard Wilson defense. We've got the RKW draft back in hour 4. We have got a loaded show on the way for you. What's up, everyone? Good morning.
What's going on? Man. I wanted to say, too, speaking of OTAs yesterday that we're going to talk a lot about today, one of the best weather days I've ever had out there. Beautiful. I'm talking like no humidity, little breeze. I even walked out of there, I don't think, with any kind of a sunburn.
Any kind of sunburn,
Nothing.
Perspiration, none of that.
No splotches.
No.
I got evens you up, basically.
Well, I am peeling on those splotches, but other than that, guys.
we gonna find a way, Kayla. It was, though.
When you found it.
I said to somebody, when I found it, we'll get there too. Let me tell you about when I was actually in the building yesterday. I said to somebody, I said, you got to enjoy this.
Ooh.
It legitimately was that day. I know, Will, you like to get out in golf, although you didn't have no time yesterday.
Correct.
It would have been an immaculate day. It was a little breeze here and there. It was. I was just like.
Really appreciate that.
I said,
he's like, can we go back?
Can we go back?
So
I was just like, I never had these type of days in practice. And I know I did. Because I played in Pittsburgh. Humidity was there, but it wasn't like crazy. It does get humid as heck in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
that was one of the biggest shockers to me. It has a lot of Southern similarities there. It gets humid. And what's crazy is it may only just be 88 degrees, but when it's like humid outside, oh, my gosh. You walk off that practice field with your cleats just sloshing with sweat and water.
And then you get blisters when they get off.
Yes, 100%. I tell you what I also got yesterday, too. Proper directions.
Did you? Okay, so you actually did make it to practice.
Here we go, folks.
I did make it to practice. I figured out my issue, too. Okay? I told you, fool me once, shame on you.
I'm not going to help you. You got to figure that one out.
Fool me twice. You can't get fooled again, is what I'm trying to tell you, okay?
Don't.
Let J. Cole, right? You can't get fooled again, okay?
Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you.
Man, either way, I found my way, okay, yesterday. But I did the exact same thing I did last time. I took the second street. So where I'm supposed to turn at is on Athens Way.
Yep.
But I
don't know if
just
you should be giving out this info.
yeah, it's public knowledge at this
We
second.
won't go into
okay?
details, but
I took the next light. The next light brings you right in front of the facility. Okay, and I was like, that's the way I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go the simplest, less turns. Okay,
That's the way I've always gone to the facility.
it's the second light, right? Yes,
The last possible light. And
Yeah.
then you just turn right and you're like on the street.
and then you turn right into the facility.
I just
right?
don't know street names. That's one of my favorite
Exactly.
things.
Me
I'm
too.
terrible at the street names too. I just know where to turn. So I
Yeah.
make that turn. And I get to the same blocked bridge. I'm like, oh.
this is great.
I said, breathe, Mom. I'm
great.
talking to myself at this point. I said, breathe, Mom. I
Not
was like,
surprising.
I went in. I did every task I needed to get done. I went and picked up my kid from school at basketball workouts. Then he had another workout after that. Got him something to eat. I was making great time, and to make
were.
it there by like 11:30, Kayla. I
You
think
were.
I called you soon.
You called me right at stretch at the
Yes.
start. I was with Brent and Dawn,
Brenton Dawn, you were.
and I said, Moan's on the phone. They said, what's Moan doing? I said, well, he's on the other side of the lake right now. And Dawn goes, here is the specific address. Tell him to put this in
So-
to his navigation.
I didn't think about the other turn.
Right.
Will. Bert. I even texted group chat. It was me, Kayla,
did.
and Bert, and I was like,
Thanks.
I'm lost
We
again.
appreciate
Well,
that.
we were talking about
Show prep at that
tomorrow's.
time.
Well, why is that not
Yes.
happening in the main group text anyway?
Because that main group text
Show
gets out of
prep.
control.
It does.
Well, then mute it and move on. That's what everybody does.
And Bert just laughs. He's like, I'm dying right now. Why did you laugh at me, Bert?
Mostly because you're a veteran. You should know your way around these things. You should know how to find things.
Yeah. And so because of that, though, I'm driving down the street again where the work complexes are around the place, okay? It's like an industry over there, business industry over there. And I was just
Industrial.
like, industrial workplaces over there. So I'm just like, all right. I see a lady taking a lunch walk. I stop in the middle of the street, cars behind me. Hey, excuse me. Do you know how to get to the Titans facility? Because the bridge is blocked right there. And she snickers a little bit. And she says, hey, you got to go out of here. You got to turn right and turn left and go down the street that I said earlier. And I'm like, okay. So my dumb self, I go out, I turn right, and I go into a work site, okay? I'm talking about a construction site.
Where you need a hard hat?
There was food trucks over there for the people that was working over there. There was like stop signs. There was fencing up all around it.
Probably
I'm
some
in a
fire food trucks over there.
I
I'm
bet you there were.
I was so
You should
nervous
have got
though.
lunch for us.
Because all I was thinking is like, I'm going to get a nail in my tire now. Like all of this is going in. I'm in a construction site at this point. And I get out again. I was like, screw it. I think that's when I called you and said,
Yeah.
you got to go down this road,
Yeah.
Ramon.
Yeah.
And
I felt like I felt like a mom in that moment.
you was directing me
I was
so
very calm.
well. You were calm because
Yeah.
I think you knew I was
He was
this
about to
close
lose it.
to losing
He
it.
was
You know how you have in your mind, this is what I'm going to do and this is how it's going
Yeah.
to happen. And anything that takes you off that plan, okay, and then here's the other thing too. It was attainable. I could see them over there stretching. I could hear
Oh,
the
yeah.
music from the doggone facility too. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the world do I get over here?
You're like, I'm just within reach.
From construction site to Rome Street, I almost went down Clarksville Highway again because I was ticked
that
off
wouldn't have
again.
been good.
And I finally found my way. And then when I got to the gate, I told them my credentials and they just straight up let me in. But I had to breathe and calm down for a bit. And I had plans to walk around practice and, go see other things. I stayed with the big boys for the most
You
part.
did? Which-
the whole time I did.
Yeah. Well, by the way, we now have to walk
All the way
about
around.
a mile to get to the other side.
I think they don't want people seeing who's in the
The
in
training
weight
room. You're exactly
I think
right.
that's what that
Yeah.
is. But they have you out in Egypt, though. You do have to walk a mile
Mm-hmm.
to go to the other side. And I was just like, I'm going to stick right here with the big boys because here's the thing, too. It was 45 minutes of hell, and we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Man, 45 minutes of hell is what I call Coach Bill Callahan's individual.
Woo!
It is, I had a little PTSD.
Well, and you
Wow.
you know what you're looking at as well, and most of us don't, especially when it comes to offensive linemen. Like you can watch wide receivers. It's like he caught the ball.
Right.
He did not.
Good route.
The offensive, I have no idea what I'm looking at.
He was
I need
talking
trained
to me
eyes.
for 5 minutes, and the information I got in 5 minutes of how they were working the types of sleds and the types
Yeah.
of drills.
I
It
felt
was
like-
incredible.
I had to shut up.
I enjoy that kind of stuff, but I also had to go cover
see
4
other
more
things.
units.
Yeah, I
would sit there forever.
I'm over there. It's like, this is what this drill does.
It's
Kayla.
interesting.
I was giddy as hell about seeing this because I know what good looks like, and they look good yesterday.
And what did I tell you? I said I've never seen half these drills in my life in terms of being here covering this team.
I had somebody tell me who had been around the Titans organization for a while. He was just like, this is night and day. I was like, what do you mean this is night and day? He was like, you see that girl over there? He pointed at Babs. I was like, yeah. He's like, now look at me. It was a black guy. He's like, night and day like this.
Okay. There's a lot more differences than just skin color between you and Don Davenport.
Oh my
I don't know why that's the one you started
where
with.
you were going with that.
No,
I didn't know where you were going
it was
with
a
that.
dark.
That's gotta be.
That's gotta be. No, but it was said out of love.
Wow.
It's like Dawn is a white lady, and I'm a dark skinned black guy. As a person that said, it's like that's how big of a difference it is.
Night and day. I think we knew the differences in color between night and day. We did not need an additional descriptor because in day it is light and at night it is dark.
Oh my gosh.
You could have just let it lie.
No, we gotta let the people know, male and
my
female.
goodness.
We also got that descriptor.
Right.
Like we're checking every box on how night and day
I
it
feel
is.
bad for people that do not wake up for the opening
I
segment
know.
of the show sometimes.
They're missing out.
But that was to me just, I was just like, oh, I get, like, it was a silly example, but it was one of the
It's
most,
one
like,
you
he really
got.
was trying to drive home like this how much
Yeah.
of a difference it is.
Well, let's start with that. Coming up, 615-737-1045. If you've got a question on what happened on the Titans practice field yesterday, we could answer it for you, and we could talk about the differences between a Bill Callahan-trained offensive line and perhaps a Mike Vrabel, Jason Hotail, and Keith Carter-trained Titans offensive line, because there are some big differences in the way practice happens, and we've got the best source to tell us exactly what those differences mean. That's next as Hour 1 continues right here on RKW.
It's Ramon Foster here for United Structural Systems. And just to tell you about the same company you've trusted here for 30 years in your crawl spaces, now offering mold treatment and giving you $500 off any mold growth solution now through June 30th. This is the most trusted, most experiencing a crawl space repair company in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. If you have mold growth, guess what? You can breathe easier with USS Mold Treatment and turn your crawl space into a healthy space. Told you they're giving you $500 off their 3-step RTE process. And the RTE process is remove, treat, and cap. Remove the active growth, treat the areas where growth occurs, and encapsulate the crawl space. USS, they don't just remove the growth, because you'll never get rid of the mold in your home if you don't get rid of the root of the problem and take steps to prevent mold from returning. USS RTE mold treatment does just that. Don't wait. Y'all know Kayla and I was talking about how nice it was yesterday, but the humidity will be rising. So get that $500 off the USS mold treatment system with the RTE solution. You can call now for a free mold inspection and have your entire foundation inspected at no additional charge. USS is here to help. For all your foundation and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com.
Hour number one of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW, here on 104.5 The Zone, 615-737-1045. Breaking down Titans OTAs with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh making the show happen. What did we see yesterday? Before we get to the specifics on differences between the old regime and the new, that is going to be a big topic of conversation today. Just from the broad sense, what stuck out?
What stuck out? I said this to a buddy of mine yesterday. Was asking me what I saw. Was like, "What did you think?" I was like, "Man, this may sound corny, but if y'all ever seen the movie Drumline, with Nick Cannon,
I actually
in it,
like that movie.
Yeah, I like that movie too. It's actually got a good theme in it with what I saw, and it just popped out to me yesterday. It was one band, one sound.
You said that to me.
I told
with
you that
movement
yesterday.
during the drill.
One thing you won't have to worry about is everybody moving the exact same way. Not like robots, but in the sense of technique. Like with how they attack an opponent is one band, one sound. They move the exact same. They hit the sled the exact same time. Everything that they did yesterday was it looked like he was building soldiers over there. Is essentially what you have. I call it the 45 minutes of hell too, with how Bill Callahan's individual is. And how it works with the O-line is this. It's not like you can go block and then catch passes and then also run the ball. Like, no, it was all drill work. And truthfully, that's what I think the big advantage of OTAs is you have the ability to break down and slow down, because that 45-minute time limit is a very long time to work on run, pass, and just combination blocks too.
And you mean that specifically on individual and positional work?
Yes,
not
100%.
Team, not 11 versus 11 for people who don't know how practice works.
This is all offensive line work, working on technique. So they were doing a drill yesterday where they had a long sled. It's I'm sure you can see it on tape. This is why I was telling
shoulder
Kayla.
drill?
Yeah, it's a shoulder drill. It's basically working on gap scheme, moving the defensive lineman over to the offensive lineman. So what they would do is I would go right step, right, left, and hit the pad and move up to the second level. And they were going in pairs of two. And so they were going in twos with this. And every time one hit the pad, both of them hit the pad at the exact same time. It was pop.
Yeah.
Pop. Every single time.
I got video of one of them. I think I posted when you were telling me that.
And all it does is set the precedent for this is how we move people around. And there may have been one or two guys that may not have hit the pad at the exact same time, but everything they're doing is in combinations and at the same time as one another. And that's what I saw. And not just that too. So I've always, when I learned what good offensive line play and practices look like, it is nonstop so much that the coach somewhat tires you out, so that, hey, if you come out there and you're not ready to practice, well, he has no sympathy for stopping, is what I realized with Coach Callahan. If you're tired, so what? Let's keep going. If you're having a bad day, so what? We got to go work hard. And that's one thing that I'll always correlate to where Coach Munchak was with us too, was if you're having a bad day, if you slow, if you sluggish, well, you won't be by the time we get done with individual. So by the time they go to teamwork, they're ready to get away from Coach Callahan so much that everything they learn carries over to drill work, as I'm sure is what's happening too. As far as seeing Bertha and Olga at work, the uniqueness about that drill right there is the pad in the front, if you watch, it has a big old spring in it. So it moves and bounces around like a defensive lineman. And here's the thing about it. I think all of the guys can move it and lift it and push it. But if you push it too high, which means you're overextended in your blocking, then it stops. So what it also allows you to do, because it has a spring in it, is redrop your hips and get started again. So you're getting a 2-for-1. If you mess up, you don't have to stop going. Just lower your hips and continue to drive through. And that's something that I saw all the guys were doing yesterday. Even, JC, as strong as he is, it would go too high. He'd have to sink his hips back down and drop it and continue to block the pad again. It was all technical. It was super unique. And it was everything they did was football related. It wasn't as if they're just, I said to somebody yesterday, it's not like they're just flopping on the ground and saying, hey, we're just over here working hard. No, everything they did, you can tell it goes in line with what the offense is going to look like, what the offensive line technique is going to look like, and what their footwork is going to be required of them play after play. You don't have to worry about them being in bad spots, is the way I see this operating with them. And then another cool thing was this too. An individual, because you're going so fast with what he's asking them to do, he's using guys against one another too. And if you don't go hard, he's going to call you out. And I've always learned that if you ever going to be a player that gets better in practice, it requires your teammates to go hard against you. And they were going hard against one another. Like they had, I just quote tweeted Jimmy Wyatt's tweet about them doing bull rush setting and stuff like that. And you can see guys forcibly pulling the tension rope backwards while they're also getting pushed too. I was impressed. You heard one sound out there each rep.
Basically, for people who haven't seen that video, you can obviously check it out on Twitter, but you've got people on one side of the field. There are two guys engaged in a block together and an offensive lineman with a rope tied to his back, while another lineman who's tied to the end of that rope is walking to provide resistance the other direction. It genuinely looks like hell.
It is. And I've never seen, I said in my tweet, I've never seen this drill. I know it is. So the pulling is to make sure that you have body control. The pushing is to also allow you to feel resistance. And on top of that, they have like a 50-pound bag in their hand that they have to hold up too. So it is a lot of technique that in the times that I've been at their practices last year or the year before, I never saw this type of stuff. Again, it's all stuff that's going to be that you'll see in play. It's not like you're just doing dummy drills. I used to hate coaches that did like stupid drills. Like this wasn't that. And the other thing too is what you'll notice is other than I think Brown School, for the most part, everybody is young. And no, we hadn't really talked about that.
Yes.
But you know why you have to be able to craft a team like this as far as like the youth? Because you have a guy that's coming in and he's 32, 33 years old. The stuff that he's doing as an offensive line coach, I don't think you can get many vets to do that.
I was going to say 30 or younger.
Yeah, 30 or younger is where they are because he's reshaping and setting a precedent for what the expectation is going to be of that group. He came in, Coach Bill Callahan, I think, came in at a very intricate time into where this team can somewhat set a template for what offensive line play looks like moving forward. And I think you needed more of a youth movement to get this done than you did in saying, let's go sign some veteran guys. I get it now. Because we talked about, what was the guard from the Saints that we were talking about being brought here?
Andrews Pete.
I don't think he would have been wanting to do these individual drills.
Well, he's molding them.
He's molding
they're
them.
Young, they're moldable, they're impressionable.
Bertha is heavy, but if you're an NFL football player, you should be able to move it. And like I said, it was a lot of football things. I saw a lot of technique. Will, Kayla, listeners, that I think you're going to see a huge benefit from with a Bill Callahan coached offensive line. And I get why he is this good. He has a system or a method that he knows at the end of the day, this is, and what's crazy about it too, let me get there, is it's simple. It's not overly complicated. And simplicity in what offensive line play is all about is what lets you do the most complex things. If I can break you down and tell you, hey, this is how we move on combination blocks. This is how we also get up to the second level to block linebackers. This is also what it looks like to pass set in our offense. It was really, really unique and aggressive and fast and nonstop. I saw some hands on hips yesterday, and I heard some cursing. I heard some, hey, why are we doing it like this? I saw some reteaching of things, man. The dudes that a lot of folks were concerned about, I know it's probably the question of Radens. Of course, you want to know about Bronsko, Peter. All those guys look good yesterday. I saw specific coaching of one of those players. I'm not sure if I can say on air, but Coach Bill Callahan was really in tune to one of the guys that are fighting for the right guard spot. And I think it's he know what he's going to get.
I think you can say that.
Yeah, it was just the drill that Jimmy Wyatt posted. Radens. So one thing we've been talking about is not getting pushed into the quarterback, right? Or pressure is a part of it. That's what that drill is all about.
Callahan talked about yesterday the triangle and how important it is, for that to be formed.
The integrity of the pocket.
He talked a whole bunch about that yesterday.
So that's what that drill was for. It's the pulling you to make you. It's the pulling you to make you feel like, all right, I know what to be engaged about. The pushing to let you feel the bull rush. So one thing we saw last year was Dillard, and the year before that, Dennis Daly get pushed into the quarterbacks. That drill that Jimmy Wyatt posted is to feel what a bull rush is supposed to feel like in real time. And I think that's one thing that he's going to fix more and more is how do we bull, hop, stop? That's what it says. It's hop, hop, hop. It's basically what you're seeing in that drill work right there. The quicker you hop and get your feet down, the better it is for you to stop the defensive lineman's bull rush, because I think that's the way this offense is going to be comprised, is to stop guys at the line of scrimmage, give the quarterback room to
that's
throw.
That's exactly what he said.
But Dylan Radin's left foot kept coming back. Like you're supposed to hop symmetrically, like both feet move back at the same time. And one of his legs was coming back further than the other. He's like, that's how you get pushed into the quarterback. You get walked back. I need you to be hopping back. And that was something that he made him go again. And I was just like, oh, so you're really coaching Radins. And again, when you have a guy that hadn't really played interior like that over the long haul and probably hadn't been taught how to stop a bull rush properly, these are the things that you're getting out of this coach, to where you say, at the end of the day, I have equipped you. You know what my standard of play is to be able to stop a bull rush, and this is how you do it.
Right.
If you don't do it, we were doing the drill over. Like, he was one of the guys that had to go over in that one right there. And it was funny. We've all heard about how strong he is, the young rookie, J.C. Latham. And that drill, he wasn't moving.
So Brian Callahan talked about J.C. Latham yesterday. Kayla asked the question about how he carries himself specifically. I thought this was one of the better, more insightful answers from Brian Callahan yesterday.
Yeah, he doesn't carry himself like a rookie, which is always a good thing. He's very intentional about his work. He works really hard. He spends a lot of time on this. I think he understands, which not all rookies understand, that it is a job. And there's an expectation, especially when you're drafted where he was drafted, that you got to come perform. And I think that he's aware of that. Not everybody always is. And he's got some maturity to him, but he's also has a youthful wonder that's kind of fun to be around. Everything's new to him. You know, there's just a lot, and he just loves playing football. And so there's this kind of enthusiasm that he carries with him around the field that I think is fantastic. And he's getting better with the techniques. You know, I think it's going to be really fun to see where he ends up between now and the next couple of weeks. And then when training camp starts, when the pads come on, that's we're going to find out a whole lot about a lot of people when training camp starts. So I think he's making the right progress, but I think as you guys talk to him too, you enjoy his personality. He's made of the right stuff, and he works really hard. So those two things are a good start for him.
Youthful wonder is how I start the morning every day.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a youthful wonder until pads come on, I would imagine, as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to comment on that, because I asked Brian Callahan the question, because in the small amount that we've been out there, I have seen, though, that he sticks out amongst everyone.
JC?
He sticks out. I don't care what you say. And he even sticks out in terms of other positions. Like, there's something about him that he is a rookie. I get that. And there's a lot of work to be done once the pads come up. Absolutely. But just the way he, like Callahan said, carries himself out there in all of those drills that he does over there with the offensive line, he seems to just be leading the way.
Yeah,
and
he's up front first.
He is. And Bertha and Olga, those have been challenges, but for the most part, he's starting to work those guys or gals, whatever you want to say.
Sleds. I don't know if they have genders.
Right. They better not have a gender.
But a little comedy for you this morning. But even like, you know, when Callie was talking, I think it was Callie, J.C. Latham comes up behind one of the reporters yesterday and is just kind of like listening in and, you know, having fun with it.
Right.
Like, this guy is, the more I think about them drafting him over some of these other guys that could have been there, the more I'm thinking, like, this could really be a long-term home run for this organization. And yeah, it has to happen with the pads on and in games.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But I'm telling you, just seeing somebody like that in the past 8 years I've been here, specifically an offensive lineman, like, they haven't had anything remotely close
to a young guy. And Taylor was here before you.
And Taylor was already here for 4 years in when I got here.
I'll say this about him too. And as far as JC is concerned, to me, and I know this is a different eye lens, like the size thing, I don't see it. Like, I know he's a big individual, but like watching him on like at the practice field, like they say he's like 340-ish or whatever his weight is. I don't see it. Like, he looks like a normal human being. He looked like a regular offensive
Well, he's
lineman.
athletic.
Yeah, he's
the way
super
he looks.
athletic. But my thing was like, I think people are expecting to see like this giant like a Shrek type of an individual. He's just towering over everybody. He's not. He's just got a big presence, to your point. And you understand that like this is just a rookie. He is a different type for just being a rookie. And the point of him just growing and being a pro, like, I'm with you. I do think the way they drafted a guy like him, it is a locker room culture setter more than I think they would ever say. Like, he is what they want the building to be like. And that, to that point, is what we've been hearing about the offense and the defensive side of things.
And he's not Isaiah Wilson.
Oh,
I think, and that's a very
sorry,
low bar.
I'm being rude, but
No, it's Isaiah Wilson sucked. He was terrible.
And he was lazy.
Like he didn't contribute anything to this team. And at the very least, you don't have that personality in your newest mountain of an SEC tackle. Heck, JC Latham tweeted the other day, for all the young folks getting fly cars and whatnot, just be careful out there, not only for yourself, but others as well. Does that sound like Isaiah Wilson to you?
no, because he was doing the opposite.
He ain't
And
lying.
that's just a tweet that's obviously very out of context that I'm halfway sarcastic saying that, but
I think he's serious about it.
it's
Yeah,
still
he's
100% accurate that, like, I think you have a guy who legitimately cares about getting better on the practice field and at least understands that as a first-round pick, that doesn't guarantee that everything's just going to be handed to him.
No.
Like, I think we are setting now a very high expectation for J.C. Latham based on the way he's hit the ground running.
It ain't going to be perfect.
It's step one of a lot of steps just to even get to the season, but he has started off well. That's significant.
I was talking even to somebody from a different station yesterday. We were just engaging. Somebody from a different station.
Why would you do that?
Because I mean,
We don't talk to our.
Don't you dare give
kidding
them
me?
any
Right.
details.
No,
kidding.
but it was I was in my zone and we were talking about it and I was just pointing out stuff like the whole one band one beat thing is what you're getting from this group. If we were ever worried about the offensive line progression, what is it supposed to look like? Having been in a system where you have a Hall of Fame style coach, this is what you're getting now. Like they will this group, if it continues and they draft the right talent and develop the right way, we'll have a nickname for this group. I don't even want to mention one.
Not yet.
Will's like,
No, and that's they got to go show and prove it. Like we turned into the Goons in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
oh,
like-
was that your nickname? Okay.
Yeah, like it was. So that's what I'm saying. Like this group will have a nickname before you know it, to where it's just like, okay, all right, this is
Too many nicknames.
this is cool. No,
Too many
for the
nicknames.
big boys that get nothing.
I want to call Brian
want a
Callahan
nickname.
Brian Callahan. I want to call DeAndre Hopkins DeAndre Hopkins. Like I don't. Drake
This
in
gonna be
Murfreesboro, 615-737-1045. What's up, Drake?
Hey, how are you guys this morning?
Good
Great.
morning.
Good, good. Hey, my question is for Ramon here. I was wondering how I was listening to Ron Slay yesterday and how a Tennessee man like yourself gets lost going around town here. So I was just wanting to get your thoughts on that, and I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, thank you, Drake.
Well, he's
No,
not
it's a
from
great
this
question.
area.
Drake, man, I thought you did well in your battle against Kendrick Lamar. Okay, just so you
I
know that. Drake.
knew that was coming.
What a name right
But
there.
Drake, I took the wrong turn. The street that I was supposed to turn on, I took the other one that takes me right in front of the facility. There's a bridge that is cut off, and I wasn't computing right yesterday or
Yeah.
the day before.
The people
Or the
that
week before.
the people that correctly know how to get to practice, they're not like us. 615-737-1045 is our number, and coming up, we'll tell you who was not there at practice yesterday, including a couple of new additions. That's next.
Interest rates may be high everywhere else, but starting this weekend at Genesis Diamonds, you can get 0 interest on any purchase. That's right, 5 years, 0 interest financing with nothing down. Beautiful eternity bands, 1-carat diamond stud earrings, and more, starting at only $50 a month. That's 0.0 financing for 5 years. That's kind of insane. So imagine that $6,000 designer ring is just $100 a month. Genesis will even finance the sales tax and interest rate relief. That's just another way that Genesis is always looking out for their customers. From pre-owned Rolex watches, they are included, as well as Genesis name brand designers. So you can get the ring of her dreams at a monthly payment you never dreamed possible. It's a great time to celebrate that anniversary with a new center diamond or a spectacular diamond tennis bracelet or eternity band. Get the crazy low Genesis price and then spread your payments over 5 whole years without a dime in interest. And it all starts this Saturday at Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit. Get more details at genesisdiamonds.com.
Thursday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will continue in here in hour number 1, 615-737-1045. Our number. Voluntary practice yesterday at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, and the list of players who were not spotted. We have that for you. Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, L'Jarius Sneed, tackles Nicholas Petit-Frere and Jalen Duncan. Wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Akine, wide receiver Colton Dowell, kicker Nick Folk, and DeAndre Hopkins. Any concern about DeAndre Hopkins not being out there, considering he was there last week when it was open to the media?
I don't have concern. I know other people might have concern. Now, when I might have concern, and not concern, but a little bit of question, is if he is not in attendance next week for mandatory minicamp, which we will have access Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for those practices.
Nice.
He was at it last week in terms of OTAs. We clearly were out there, and we had him running routes and all of that stuff, and in drills with all the other guys. But I just feel like with this being OTAs, again, it is voluntary. He is a veteran. He knows how to utilize his body in the way he needs to when it comes to gearing up for the season. I have no worries.
Yeah, I'm with you, none whatsoever. You can miss OTAs like it's nothing. As a vet, you're not required to be there. Only thing is, the stipend that you get for attendance might be a little lighter. That's it. I don't think he's got a workout bonus or clause in his contract. Even if that was the case, he's probably still going to meet it because he's been here, I think, for the most part. D-Hop not being there, again, coaches would also have guys either take less reps at practice or also just not show up so that the young guys can get reps too. You got to also think if D-Hop is there, he's going to get he's going to get the lion's share if he's out there. He's 30-plus years old at this point. Saving as much tread on his tires as he can is what I'm all about for a guy like him. Get him to the season. Minicamp, yeah, he'll be there. That is 100%. I don't think you can even hold out in minicamp anymore too. I know there's probably some speculation. Okay, does he want a contract? Everybody probably want a contract, but this ain't the time to stand on that hill as it pertains to this time of the year when, hey, I mean, you don't have to be there. It's not like he's like T. Higgins where he has a franchise tag that he hadn't signed. That's a clear and obvious situation right there. But to miss this time of the year, I'm not worried on one day.
So he does have a workout bonus of $250,000 in 2024, according to overthecap.com.
It's probably 80% of showing up in the offseason. Yeah. He can miss a day or two and still get that bonus right there. Sure. I've also known guys that say my free time is more valuable than $250,000 too.
I remember last year too, just to put some more detail of this, when he was doing stuff under the Vrabel staff, practice-wise, there were just certain days you were not going to see him out there because the stuff he does with his body, and again, we talk about receivers and the longevity of them. Once they hit 30, you don't see it as much, but there are certain receivers that know how to preserve their body. He is one of them. Like, this is a man who has incorporated everything from hot yoga to all of that stuff. What he does is very particular. That's another reason why I'm just not as worried about it, because I know he beats to the drum, his own drum, the beat of his own drum.
Moves to the beat. So that's the thing too, is finding depth at this wide receiver position. Who's going to be the next guy to step up? So him missing, again, it's probably a little bit of a coaching decision, personnel side of things. To be like, all right, D-Hop, not today. Like, you're not going to get many reps today. What more do we need to see?
Even while the offense is still being installed?
I think he understands. From my understanding, Coach Callahan's already said the good bit of this offense
most of it.
is
he said yesterday
already.
It's most of the way done.
Yeah, and that's essentially what you want. And here's the thing about it. His route tree is probably, okay, what does Will Levis need from me?
He's built a lot of that already.
Yeah, he's built that. So I'm not concerned. I look at his situation just saying, knowing how the NFL works at times, you are as good as your weakest link. And that's where, to me, I think building that depth, considering you ain't got Colton in, NWI wasn't in yesterday, there has to be some guys emerging from this free agency to where at least practice squad, we can say we're going to use that guy. We expect that guy to do good in camp.
To me, even if it was a contract situation, doesn't that say that DeAndre Hopkins wants to be here?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even if it was like, hey, I'm not going to come back to you, get me rework my deal a little bit, throw an extra year on the end of this thing. If that's the case, like, I think you as the Titans are thinking, great, you want to be here for the next couple of years? All right, let's make it work. Like for me, from the fan perspective, I don't hate that.
Yeah.
They got the money.
Is there any worry to you on this, or the people that question why he's there? Is there any other concern to be worried about?
What do you mean?
As far as like D-Hop, like, all right, D-Hop's not there, and some people would like to make a issue of it. What would be the concern of D-Hop not being there, and from a different perspective?
Well, that he's going to hold out until he gets a new contract.
He can't. So in today's game, he can't hold out.
I mean,
you hold in.
You can.
You can hold in, but he's going to be in training camp. He's going to be at
show
minicamp.
up then last week?
No, I don't think
you're going to show up and say, hey, this is just I'm just kind of like poking you a little bit, but then I'm not going to show up anymore. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't think it's a contract thing. I think he's just a veteran they've worked something out with.
Yeah, I just want to kind of debunk that. Like, if he does want a contract, I feel the way his relationship has been with Coach Callahan, the production that he had last year, and just the stability of this group. If they did want to extend him out, they can do the same thing they did with Julio, right? Or push some money up, or add a year, like you just said a second ago, and turn it into a workout bonus or something, or turn it into a training camp bonus.
Yeah, it's not something to really be monitoring, I don't think, until these practices are mandatory.
So my thing with D-Hop is this, though, too. How much longer are you willing to extend him and keep him on the team?
As long as he keeps producing.
As long as he keeps producing.
Keep throwing on a year every time he has a good – like, I would put on a next year, an added year tomorrow if he was wanting to do that.
To be here, yeah.
I don't think you want him to hit the market this time next year without some kind of deal.
I
would love to stay ahead of it because they have not drafted that young, elite first-round wide receiver since Traylon Burks, and he's not been a first-round wide receiver when he's been on the field.
I could over-speculate, but I'm not right now. In the sense that if you never mind, I'm gonna do it. If you keep him, I think you somewhat stop the growth of somebody else behind D-Hop. If you draft somebody, that's what I'm saying. Even next year, but I don't know what kind of year D-Hop is gonna have.
Yeah, you got to
I don't know what kind of year he's gonna have to make that kind of decision. To give him a little extra right now, yeah, I can live with that.
Yeah, a little.
He earned that.
615-737-1045. Speaking of Titans wide receivers, Calvin Ridley had a lot to say yesterday. We'll play you the audio of his scouting report of his fellow wide receiver teammates within the Titans locker room, plus what Brian Callahan said about the new Tennessee Titan as Hour 2 begins next.
Hey, are you not able to enjoy this summer as much as you want because of that annoying joint pain? This is the best time of the year to be outdoors. We all know that. But if your knees, your shoulders, back are hurting, guess what? You need some help, and QC Kinetics has you covered. Hey, it's Kayla Anderson. We're talking about non-surgical joint pain relief here at QC Kinetics, and you can call them today for an easy fix. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, and I'm talking about lasting joint pain relief. Not just something that's going to be a fix for a couple days. This happens with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments can harness your own body's ability to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue so you can walk and run, hike, play golf, and move again pain-free. Their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility back. So stop putting it off. Take action now and live your best life again. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation at 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
What's going on? 7:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans back on the practice field for OTAs. Calvin Ridley turning heads early, and Brian Callahan was very complimentary. Well, he was if I could hit the right button.
Everything that we thought it would be. It's always exciting when you sign a guy in free agency and you hope, but you don't always know. You go by what you hear and what you see. And it's always good when the guy gets in the building and you see he's everything that you would expect him to be.
Really fat-fingered that space bar there. 49ers decided to pay a wide receiver. They made him wait for it, but boy, was it worth it, signing wide receiver Juwan Jennings. Signing him to a 2-year deal worth up to $15 million, $10 million guaranteed. Through 3 years in San Francisco, Jennings caught 78 passes for 963 yards, 7 touchdowns, and a limited role. Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals is tonight. Game starts at 7:30. Mavericks 1 win away from punching their ticket to the NBA Finals as the series shifts back to Minnesota, where the Timberwolves have a 3-4 record at home in the playoffs this year. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And the show goes on into our number 2 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling. 615-737-1045. How you jump in? Coach Dave McGinnis coming up in 15 minutes. We'll ask him what he saw on the Titans practice field yesterday. Get into a technique discussion about Will Levis that Brian Callahan was asked about yesterday. And talk about these drills that Ramon Foster has detailed for us so eloquently that Bill Callahan has offensive linemen doing. If you missed that conversation, you can check it out wherever you download podcasts as soon as the show comes to a conclusion. 615-737-1045. We stream live on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Good, please.
Oh.
And we
shut down your mic.
May have a reason why DeAndre Hopkins was not at Titans OTAs yesterday.
Hopgate.
Yes. On3 Elite, our friends over at the W Hotel who are in an event with high school football recruits. 31 of the 32 5-stars in the On3 rankings are there. Tweeted out yesterday afternoon that DeAndre Hopkins was speaking to recruits.
That's what he was doing.
At the W Hotel with the On3 Elite Summit. So, DeAndre Hopkins, we just wrapped up talking about the fact that he was not at OTAs yesterday. That could be a reason. I'm not going to say without a shadow of a doubt that that's why he wasn't there. That could be a logical explanation as to why DeAndre was not at practice.
And Robert, you said, Will, one of y'all said a recruit from there or a player from there tweeted it and thanked him for speaking.
But thanked him specifically for thanks for coming by today. And he tweeted that yesterday afternoon. So this was not a situation where like maybe they were putting out a clip of him talking Tuesday that then came out yesterday. A definite confirmation that DeAndre Hopkins was at the W Hotel talking to recruits yesterday.
DeAndre Hopkins is an entrepreneur, by the way. He's a guy that does a lot of stuff outside of football. And being in the community, I think especially here, we've learned he likes to be involved.
Yeah.
And I think, if anything, it's a cool thing. Again, if he's not there for mandatory minicamp, then maybe we have some talks about this. But I have no problem with him not being there, this at least yesterday.
Yeah, to me, this is a non-issue. I hate to wet blanket it, but it's OTAs. Like, there's not much to get from it. If he wanted to miss, he could. Heck, I've seen people miss for less. I've seen second-year guys miss OTAs and be like, okay, well, he's not here today. Like, coaches will check the box.
Jeff isn't there. Jeffrey Simmons isn't there.
Hasn't been there, but he's in the city. You see, if you look on his Instagram, he's around working out. So
he's made a point to work out in Nashville all offseason.
He has.
Yeah, he has. But the other guys, I mean, NWI is probably, I mean, it's a lot of guys have excused absences. It's how OTAs is. Off season is long, which is probably why a lot of coaches want to have that conversation with the NFLPA about moving the schedule back a little bit.
By the way, LeJerry Sneed is not here either. So just another reminder, Yvette.
DeAndre Hopkins telling high school recruits this week, whatever you do not try to compete with someone in the locker room or someone you look at that's got the biggest chain, because that's going to be your biggest downfall. This does come a week after he said, any room I've been in, I insist on being the number one wide receiver. So I think there is a proper context to compete in the locker room.
No, his point that he made, I've seen a young guy go broke trying to do that.
Yes.
No, like, Will, I saw him go broke.
No, I know.
too.
Like buying
I get
stuff?
Like chains and cars and trying to have the NFL look. So D-Hop is 100% right. If you drive a small two-door car, stay in that two-door car, okay? Whatever you come into college with, mine was a used car that I bought from somebody who's about to go through a divorce.
What was it?
That's what I was. My Infiniti QX56, a big SUV.
Okay.
It was a 07. I got it in 09.
So you drove it to infinity and beyond.
I did. I fully customized the heck out of it, though. But what I'm telling you is...
Of course you did, Ramon.
that was one of my things. Like, I need to work hard enough to where I can do whatever I want to. And that was one of the things I wanted to do, was customize a vehicle.
So yesterday, Calvin Ridley spoke to the media, continues to impress. Sam Monson, our friend from Pro Football Focus, said that we do this every year, that he looks like the best wide receiver of all time in routes on air, which is not a negative, certainly. And was asked about the other wide receivers in the Titans receiving group, and specifically had this to say about Treylon Burks.
This dude is a freak. Like, seriously, bro, he's gonna be a stud. There's no worries in him. You know, I mean, what I see, he's like Julio, AJ Brown. He's like T.O. Dude that big, that fast, man. I mean, he's a stud, man. You don't gotta worry about him. You just gotta learn, slow the game down. He'll be all right.
What's your reaction to that?
Mine is, that was from Calvin, right?
It was.
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley's conversation is from a lot of experience, from a lot of downs and a lot of ups. And here's the thing about him saying that about Treylon is this. I think he believes that in Treylon. I think Treylon knows that his guys believe in him also with the words that they say and what they see out of him also. He just got to go do his part. And the thing about Calvin Ridley saying that about Treylon Burks is this. Bro, stop overthinking this thing. You have it.
Bingo.
But it's hard for people sometimes to realize their true talent, the potential, and it comes easy for some guys. Like I do that often. I know I have to stop doing it at times. Like just do this, man. You got it. Like, and some people have to have either moments happen or either the backing of his teammates. Like, that goes a long way. And I was messing with Bert right there about him saying, this guy's a freak and stuff like that. And then he start mentioning names. Like, the names that he mentioned is not to tell Treylon, go be like them dudes. Don't go be like Julio. You can be in the same conversation of them if you just go do it, Treylon. And that's why the Treylon Burks thing with Savage is such a real thing. Like, Ron is in on this because you know what talent looks like. That's why I'm not out on Treylon. That's why I'm not out on Dylan Radins. That's why I'm not out on a multitude of guys on this team, because even Kenneth Murray, who has his deficiencies, we're not talking about a lack of talent. We're talking about putting the key in the ignition, for you old school people, putting the key in the ignition, pumping the gas to get the carburetor primed up a little bit and cranking it and going. That's all he's telling them. Like, dog, if I had your talent, the way you run, as big as you are, he probably think he'd be Megatron with Calvin Ridley. And that's what all he's trying to tell them. Like, and yeah, it's a public service announcement about, hey, he looks like this dude, but it's on Treylon now to go do it. And I know he's more than capable of getting to that point. You just gotta, it's easier for us to talk about this. And for a guy like Calvin, who's already been accomplished, for people who are in it like Treylon, it's a matter of, bro, just Nike, just go do it.
Mm-hmm. I think there's too much right now breaking down and trying to, diagnose every little thing that comes out of everybody's mouths in OTAs when it comes to Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks knows what he needs to do this season. He knows what the future holds in terms of if he doesn't do it or if he isn't available, which is in my eyes, the biggest thing. I really think he's capable of doing all these things. We know the type of athlete he is, the big body, and you heard Calvin Ridley describe him.
Yeah.
The big thing for me is if he is able to stay on the field, I think he can be that dude, or at least improve a great amount, because he's able to, like Ridley said, have the game slow down. He's able to build off of his momentum that he has in games. And, maybe you have one game where you have a drop. Okay, you can't do it again. You need to build off the positives. It's been so inconsistent the last 2 seasons staying on the field. He's just never been able to get in a groove, you guys. Yeah. And I think if he can stay healthy, that's the key thing for me. Stay healthy, I think he can get to that point. But we've got to see that.
Brian Callahan was asked about what he has seen from Calvin Ridley as well, their first offseason working together on the same team, and answered with this.
Everything that we thought he would be. That's always exciting when you sign a guy in free agency and you hope. But you don't always know. You go by what you hear and what you see, and it's always good when the guy gets in the building and you see he's everything that you would expect him to be. He's a great pro. He's a phenomenal person to be around. He's incredibly talented. You see his speed and his burst when you watch him on the field. I think he's really going to help us, and he's a pro's pro. He prepares. He works hard. He loves playing football, and those are the things you hope for when you sign free agents, and he's lived up to every one of those things for us so far. And again, a lot of work to go, but I've been really, really happy with him.
There he is, Brian Callahan, talking about Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, solid, man. Again, it's a lot of investment into a dude like him. So he's just basically checked that box with Coach Callahan.
So far, so good. Coach Mack joins us. Titans Radio's head coach breaks down Titans OTAs next. Thursday, hour number 2, 7:20 in Nashville at this time every week means you hear this music and you hear from Titans Radio's head coach. Coach Dave McGinnis is brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, Two Rivers Ford. Coach Mac, what's going on?
Hey, well, we're just back from a little break on Memorial Day and then back at football practice and doing football Coach Mac stuff. That's what I'm doing.
I love it. Coach Mac, I have to say first that all of the videos of you guys mic'd up with different players like Ashley Farrell, the entire Titans crew, and getting all that stuff set up, phenomenal. 10 out of 10, Coach.
Facts.
Really good.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. They ask me to every so often they'll ask and they'll tell me the day before, look, would you mind being with this group? Put a mic on. We're going to put a mic on this player. And you put a mic on, and so I'll go introduce myself to the player and say, you're going to be mic'd, I'm going to be mic'd. We won't be talking to each other, but just, to let everybody know. And yeah, I enjoy doing it. I'm in practice every day, so I think they probably figure we might as well get something out of this guy.
I love it. Coach Mac, between week 1 and week 2 of organized team activities, Brian Callahan talked about the offense almost being fully installed yesterday. What is the difference between what these guys are maybe doing last week to this week and the different things they will have learned over that process?
Well, they're adding progressions as far as to what, the entire playbook. I mean, you start out with a base and then you start adding to that base progressively because everything builds, on the one day builds on top of the other and also within the scheme. I mean, that's what they do. And they, by the end of this session, before they get ready for training camp, they will have installed their entire offense, defense, and their special teams look, and then they will go back and reinstall it once training camp starts, and that's extremely important because what you want to have when you come in, and especially when you're brand new, everybody is learning it brand new together, so you've got to start out with a solid base. It's just like when you're watching these coaches teach right now, the first part they're teaching is the fundamentals, and every day they will emphasize on those fundamentals, functional fundamentals, build a base, and then you can start progressing. But you've got time now that if you start to build the base, you feel like that they didn't quite get it or you didn't quite like the way that it worked, you've got time to go back right now. And so this is the time to build a base. But they will have it all in, and then they take a break, and then they'll come back and reinstall it again, and then start working on game-specific things once the season starts.
And Coach Mac, I thought Brian Callahan had an interesting answer yesterday talking about coaching decision-making, specifically at the quarterback position. How do you go about addressing those things and trying to improve the decision-making specifically of a quarterback of Will Levis this time of year?
Well, I mean, there's an art to that too. I mean, it's just, and you have to understand what makes the quarterback work and what makes the quarterback tick, and also the decision making that you want to incorporate to him within, not taking all of his freedoms away, but also within the structure of what your offense is. Their offenses are basically the same as far as everybody's trying to move the ball and to extend the chains and to score touchdowns, but the way that you do it and the decisions the quarterback has to make within each of these systems has got nuances to it. And so that's what you're talking about. And again, you don't ever want to take away the extemporaneous part of playing any position because you don't want robots, but you want intelligent decisions under stress. That's where you start to break down, and it's not only for quarterbacks, but you break it down in all the positions because decisions have to be made in a really, really short period of time once things start running hot during a game. And so you want to be able to give these guys the ability to look at something that's going to be important to them at the moment and then pull the trigger and go. And so every position has that, but the quarterback, you've got to understand the nuances of it, and that's the real strength of that's what got Brian Callahan a head coaching job. And so Will Levis is in a great spot with him.
Coach Mac joining us this morning. Coach Mac, I made it. I saw you and you saw me, man, and we stayed in a specific area yesterday while I was at practice, Coach Mac, and that was with the big boys.
Yeah, I mean, that to me, unless they give me a duty to mic me up on explain what else is going on, I want to be there because I've been there I've spent my whole time this off season, with Bill Callahan, both talking to him in the building and then out there on the practice field and watching him work. And I just the attention to detail. And, you and I have talked about it. I'm glad you were out there so that you could see it. But, I mean, you can tell quick. The attention to detail, but the repetition of meaningful detail is huge. And plus, he works those guys. I mean, once they hit his part of the field, it's work until they're done. The thing that I like is that he's got a group that they're even working afterwards. They work pre-practice and they work post-practice as a group, sometimes with him and sometimes without him. And then, I mean, I've told the story about what J.C. Latham was doing out there in the lightning storm. It was like the bishop trying to golf there in, what's the thing with the gopher? What's the movie with the gopher?
Billy
Caddyshack?
Caddyshack.
Yeah.
It was like the bishop in Caddyshack where he won't come off the green when the lightning's coming. That's how J.C. Latham was out there on Bertha and Olga, last week when it was bad weather. So anyway, I love watching this offensive line progress, and I think that, of course, the development of that offensive line is going to be critical for the reset of this football team. And that's why I want to be down there and watch it.
But, Coach Mack, it's one thing to have, you get a substitute teacher, you get busy work, and it's like, let's just keep the guys busy. Sometimes I think people think that's what offensive linemen do, or some coaches I've seen do that type of stuff, Coach Mack, where they just have you doing pointless drills, right? Because they don't understand the methods to getting guys engaged into their technique and what's actually going to translate over to the game. What I saw yesterday, Coach Mack, was a coach and Bill Callahan teaching them football-specific things that's going to correlate to their play on the field. That's what you're getting out of Coach Callahan, and that's what makes him brilliant as an offensive line coach. And just speak on that, Coach Mack, the differences in how a coach is engaging you to be successful on the field and not just putting you through busy work.
Well, I mean, you're a former player and a former good player. And so, the thing that you wanted is how can I be better? What will help me? What will help me in real time? But he breaks it down into finite, essential detail. And they work it every day. I mean, they work it every day. You were watching the progression. You see how, he teaches them body angles and how to strike, where your hands, and he's forceful with it. Where your hands, hold your hands, where your feet need to be. You saw him doing that drill. I've watched him do those drills every day where he does the reset the hop drill on the bull rush. Yep. The hop drill on the bull rush, and if one stagger is wrong with a leg, stop it. We're going back and doing it. They got those 50-pound bags that they're holding up to be sure their hands are staying up. I mean, it is physical, but it's also mental, and it's also disciplined. I mean, it's just when you start watching that machine that he invented, those two, Bertha and Olga, and you really go over there and look at it and see exactly the angles that they're at and see what those players have to get down underneath and how how every angle of their body has to be perfect, or that thing starts turning on them. Plus the fact that it weighs 380 pounds. I mean, that is so position specific. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to watch. But those guys work. And I'm standing there. Eddie George was standing there with me, and he looked at me and he said, "Mac, there has not been 1 second that we've been standing here that this offensive line is not doing something meaningful as a group." And he's right.
And Coach Mack, and to follow that up to what Eddie was saying, I thought the same thing. I said the same thing to you. But here's, I think, where you start to build a bigger culture too, and it starts with the bigs. If the work that they're going through, because I've been calling it 45 minutes of hell, Coach Mack. If and it's nonstop too. If
it is
the small guys seeing the bigs work this hard, this is where you build a culture to where your bigs lead out front. And the little guys that are, hey, I'm a little hurt today, they can't make that excuse no more because the bigs are working harder than almost anybody else out there, Coach Mack.
Yeah, this game is still a big man's game. I mean, I've said that, and I learned that when I first got into the league. And everybody's important, but it's a big man game. It's a brutal game up front, offensively and defensively. That's where it all starts, and that's where the attrition gets to an opponent during a ball game is up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And so those guys have got to be set, and they've got to be mentally tough, and they've got to be mentally together. And that's the way that they're working right now. So, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, all you got to do is go to one of those big animal parks where they turn the animals loose like they're out in the zoo, and everybody gets out of the way when the elephants start to walk through.
Yeah.
That's just life.
Coach Mac joining us on RKW as he does every Thursday at this time. Coach, switching over to the defensive side, was able to talk to Arden Key, Roger McCreary yesterday, just about the tone being set by Denard Wilson on this defense. Both guys immediately lit up and obviously said it's so aggressive, it's so intense. What have you seen early on from this defense in just OTAs, but just the tone that they've set?
Well, I mean, doesn't surprise me. Look, I've worked, I've been with Denard from the start. I mean, 5 really intense years when he first came in as a quality control guy. When Jeff Fisher hired him when we were with the Rams. Look, I think I said this, when he was hired, because I know Denard, and I know his mindset, and I know the coaches that he's hired. That's not surprising. I told you that was coming. And that's every day, too. Now, those guys, let me tell you what Denard will do. Denard, if they're not doing it right, he's not going to just say, all right, we'll fix it later. It's fixed right then. I mean, they will go back and restart and redo. But, that's how you have to be on defense. Defense is a lot of skill, but it's a whole lot of attitude and mindset, too. And it's a pack mentality. And he instills that, and that doesn't surprise me a bit. And I know I'm not talking out of school when I say, when I worked for 3 days last week for the National Football League, for 3 straight days, from 7:30 in the morning till 5:30 in the afternoon at the league meetings, interviewing, the future head coach candidates, just as far as prospects for the league. That and Denard went through that. So the impression that Denard makes when he starts talking football, it's noticed a lot of places, guys. I promise you that.
When it comes to new cornerback Chido Awuzie, and look, he is a spectacular soundbite, by the way, spoke about how he uses the game of chess to dissect things out on the field, Coach. Just his familiarity with Callahan, how much of a, I guess, not easy transition, but does that help the transition going to a brand new team for him?
Well, it absolutely does. I mean, if you're comfortable with the head coach, that when you're going to a new place, that absolutely does, and it made a lot of difference in him wanting to come here. But again, too, the thing about it is, you guys know this, and for our listeners, we've got intelligent listeners to this program. The circle of who you know in this league, everybody knows everybody, and everybody knows about everybody. So Cheeto not only knew the head coach, but he knew when Denard Wilson was hired, he knew the type of mentality Denard Wilson has, because, Denard was in that division too. People know. Mm-hmm. People just know. And so it absolutely makes a difference. And if you get enough of those guys with each other that have the requisite skill that it takes, but also the same type of mindset, then you can start forming a team a little quicker than most.
Coach Tate McGinnis with us, presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Coach Mac, when you look at Arden Key specifically and the way he wants to progress from year 1 to year 2 as a Tennessee Titan, how does he go about taking that next step and making himself more available to be a 3-down player the way Brian Callahan talked about him yesterday?
Well, that's up to him. I mean, look, what it takes work and it takes consistency, and that is completely up to him. And then what happens is, especially out there when you're a pass rusher, or you're no matter what you are, once you establish yourself and you're on tape and you stand out as a person, then you've got to be able to overcome the attention. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be able to overcome the attention. If you're the premier receiver, you got to be ready to play double teams. And if you're a premier defensive lineman, either up front or on the edge, you've got to be prepared for extra attention from your opponent. Those are the types of things. I mean, all of that stuff. The more you put yourself out there on tape and people see that you're not just a flash in the pan person, and I'm talking about it from a coaching perspective, after studying years of tape with guys, of opponents, when you look at them, you're going to make sure you can control the top performers on the teams when you start doing matchups for game planning. So that's what he's got to be prepared for. He wants to set himself as a guy that is going to be in another category. You've got to be prepared to be able to beat the attention also. It's what I used to tell my guys a lot. Look, I want you to get your game as to where people, when they present on Wednesday morning, when they present personnel, I want you to be a guy that they're putting the light on up there on that board and say, this guy we have to take care of this guy. But that brings a lot of responsibility to yourself to be able to stay consistent at that level. There's a difference.
I love it. From offensive line to Bishops in Caddyshack, Coach Dave McGinnis breaks it down with us every Thursday morning here at 7:20. Coach Mack, you were above par in the right way, as always today. Thank you.
I see what you did. Did there, Will.
Don't give him credit for that, Coach Mack.
Will deserves credit. Will has got a real. He's got a bear trap for a mind. It works.
I don't know if that's always the best thing.
Did you just call him a bird, Coach Mack?
A bear trap.
Coachable. There he is. Coach Dave McGinnis with us this morning here on the show. I think that's interesting on Arden Key. I think it's a conversation we can continue in about a half hour about him specifically. Arden Key always has a lot to say. He had even more than usual maybe to say yesterday that we will dive into coming up at 8:20. 615-737-1045. Down at the SEC spring meetings in Destin, Florida's athletic director was surprising people with a couple of different things he was saying, and I don't know what one of them even really means. Or does he even really know what it means? We'll talk about that next.
It's Ramon Foster here for Artisan Custom Closets. Here to tell you summer is here. The kids are out of school, running around. They got outdoor activities, lawn care, pool parties, you name it. Summer's for the outdoors, and all that means is all that outdoor stuff comes inside your garage. So don't just clean out the messy areas in your home. Get them organized with custom store solutions available at Artisan Custom Closets. Artisan has options for every budget and will point and pain point in your house too, from your garage to mud rooms to pantries, home offices, closets, laundry rooms. Artisan can do it all. Let the local team at Artisan help you get rid of that clutter or maximize your space and just make your day-to-day easier. I promise, less clutter means an easier day-to-day inside of your home. Meet with their certified senior design consultants to fully customize a solution that fits your space, your needs, and all things available to you, from a free consultation at your home to custom 3D plans that lay out all your options and costs, and an installation process that takes less than a day. Artisan makes it easier to create some calm. So as the kids get crazy, the house get crazy this summer, you got to call Artisan Custom Closets at 615-800-2199 or visit artisancustomclosets.com.
Wrapping up the first half of the show, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, brewed up by 8th and Rose. 615-737-1045. How you join us? Jesse Simonson of On3.com in Destin yesterday tweets, Florida Athletic Director Scott Strickland on Florida's 2024 football schedule. Quote, this season is not about our schedule. It's about the Gators. And if the Gators are being the Gators, we're going to be all right. What does that even mean?
Sounds like a lost program to me.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Same here.
they realize they got some stuff going on.
Just a little bit.
You can foreshadow what your season's going to be. That's what that sounds like to me. Their coach got a lot to prove this year.
I feel like we've been talking about this, though, for the past couple of years. Like, where is Florida's program going? To me, it's going round in circles. And we talked about some of the digression. I have not seen anything to prove in this day and age in the SEC. Again, I say this all the time, but you're having 2 more elite teams join your conference this year. It just seems like there's no path or clear path of getting back to the elite status.
I'd feel a whole lot better about making this statement if the Vols had to beat them down there.
I know, and I know that's something that.
No, I'm just being honest about it, because here's the thing about Florida. Florida's in a rich recruiting state in general. Heck, they got Georgia to the north of it. Mm-hmm. They can be fine. The issues that I have about making a statement that Florida is on the way out is that they beat the Vols down there. And I know it was a crazy game. Screw all of that. It does boil down to, I think, decisions on what Billy Napier's going to be as an NIL coach, as a head coach that got to win big games. Because even though they beat the Vols, what was they, 4-8 last year, whatever their record was?
5-7.
5-7?
I believe.
So probably with the bowl. Well, no, they wouldn't have made a bowl game. 5-7, whatever it is. They always have a shot. I just think the AD is starting to realize the coach may not be the one to take them there in some capacity, because this Jaden Rashada lawsuit is a little sticky right here. Mm-hmm. But that sounds like a cop-out type of statement from an AD that doesn't have much confidence in the football program.
Yeah, exactly what's going on.
I just feel a whole lot better if we had to beat them. Then I'd really lean into it. But they can get embarrassed this year, because what is Florida as a program? I know they're going to have talent, but their coach, other than being passionate against beating the Vols in the night game, you don't really see all that. I see a bunch of stress. I see a lot of uncertainty with a guy like him. So I think a change is coming.
You can say that about a lot of their athletic programs at this point. And I'm not saying that they've taken a huge step backwards, but we're talking about teams that we always seem to have in terms of elite programs. Basketball. Yeah. I know baseball, caught a little bit of fire this year, but, they had always been really dominant in the past. In football. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like they've taken a little bit of a backseat, at least down here in the SEC, when we talk about some of these other schools. I just feel like we're talking about other schools before that.
I mean, they made the national championship series in baseball last year.
Exactly.
Lost to LSU.
No, you're right.
And I guess basketball took a major step forward this year, but they had one of their starters have a gruesome injury in the SEC tournament championship game. Yeah, otherwise, I think maybe they have a longer stay in the NCAA tournament. I mean, they've got a legitimate powerhouse roster coming back at Florida under Todd Golden next season.
They need to do something with it.
It's about the Gators. And if the Gators are being the Gators, we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
That is a dude that didn't have good things to say, is what
it's a lot of words to say nothing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of words to try to put lipstick on a 11-14 pick over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
The difficult thing is that they don't play a game outside of Florida in non-conference. So they play Samford and their other 2 non-conference games. They finally play UCF.
Okay.
Finally. Might lose that.
And they also, of course, play Florida State. And then their schedule, in addition to Miami as well, their other non-conference team, their road games against Tennessee and Texas, home games against LSU and Ole Miss, and, of course, Georgia in the cocktail party. I mean, Florida is legitimately staring down a 3 or 4 win season, comfortably. I think you could make the argument if Billy Napier did not beat Tennessee last year, he is not the coach of Florida right now.
Sure.
That's why, Kayla, I was hesitant on just bashing them like that.
No, and that's from your guys' perspective. And I'm looking at it at a total different perspective, but I get where you're coming from when you aren't able to go down there and in a year where they're even down, not necessarily get what you needed to get out of that, which is a win.
Even making that statement, Will, is one of those things as a VFL myself. It's just like, all right, we really are just hated. Like we keep people employed. You know what I'm saying? Like we stir the pot better than almost any fan base. I know Georgia does it though. The barking, Texas is definitely gonna. I listened to that OTP with.
Get ready to be annoyed.
I listened to that OTP with Mike Keefe, Amy Wells, and Tavondre.
No offense to Tavondre, but
don't engage him is all I'm saying. He's saying he's wearing his Texas alarm
as
ring
he should though,
just to agitate people. And I'm like, yeah, Texas is coming in to stir the pot. They're gonna be the most hated. Like initial, I'll never call them UT. They'll be the
UT Junior.
Not even junior. They don't even deserve that. They wouldn't be UT Junior without UT Senior. Okay, all right, but they are about to be, I hope, the most agitating fan base in the SEC. I really think they are. He is ready. Him and Mike Keefe went at it in that OTA.
Yeah, they did.
I love it.
I was squirming through a little bit of it. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Maybe we'll get some Texas callers.
He did not.
He did not let up one bit.
But to that point, I'm 100% agreeing with Will on this one. If the Vols had to beat him down there, especially with the streak being broken, I don't think he'd be employed.
I think Billy Napier is an example of a coach that probably would have fared a lot better at Florida before NIL started. He made a point when he got the job that I'm not just going to take kids. We have a arduous process in which we choose who is worthy of playing for our program. And it's just like, you can do that, but like, you don't have enough time in today's college football to just wait around and take only the kids that you think meet the standard. Like sometimes you just got to take a kid and turn him into a good player. And ultimately, when schools like Ole Miss are portal kinging within your conference, like, do you think they're just taking guys that always have to meet a certain standard? Like, no, they're throwing money at guys and seeing what sticks.
That's why I'm so backwards with that statement.
Like, I don't blame you for having principles in your talent evaluation processes, but that is where college football coaches just are way too stubborn for today's climate. That probably would have worked 10 years ago. But I don't see that being a successful path. And I don't say that as a Tennessee person. I say that as an SEC fan. That's just, there's no Tennessee orange tinted glasses in that take. Like I think most Florida fans would probably agree with that assessment.
They put a bad look on themselves too, by the way, with the whole money issue and giving what they didn't have. I mean, that kind of stained you for a minute too, guys.
Hide the money, y'all. The broke people are around. That's what we do with Florida.
Coming up, two interesting conversations from Brian Callahan about Will Levis. He was asked about the All Access Albert Breer piece we spoke about yesterday. We'll play you his reaction to that. Plus, mechanics, a subject of conversation yesterday at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. We'll dive into that coming up.
What's going on? 8 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans are back on the practice field for OTAs, and Calvin Ridley was turning heads early. Brian Callahan was very complimentary.
Everything that we thought it would be. It's always exciting when you sign a guy in free agency and you hope, but you don't always know. You go by what you hear and what you see. And it's always good when the guy gets in the building and you see he's everything that you would expect him to be.
49ers signing wide receiver Juwan Jennings to a 2-year deal worth up to $15.4 million with $10.5 guaranteed. Through 3 years in San Francisco, Jennings caught 78 passes for 963 yards and 7 touchdowns. 5 of those came his rookie year in a limited role. Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals is tonight. Game starts at 7:30. Mavericks 1 win away from punching their ticket to the NBA Finals as the series shifts back to Minnesota, where the Timberwolves have a 3-4 record at home in the playoffs this year. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show, and hour number 3 is off and running on RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, the man behind the glass, hitting all the right buttons, including ours. My name is Will Bowling. We're streaming live at 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
The return of the RKW draft is coming up at 9:20 this morning. That is something to look forward to. We've got a discussion on the Titans defense. You'll hear from Arden Key. You'll hear from Brian Callahan. And you will hear from Roger McCreary coming up in just about 15 minutes. Yesterday at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, Will Levis's mechanics were something that was discussed. In this soundbite, you'll hear a couple of different questions and a few different answers on some mechanical tweaks Brian Callahan and the Titans coaching staff are attempting to make with QB1 Will Levis.
That's one of the big things we've emphasized with Will over this period here is the base, how important that is to playing quarterback, being able to play on time, being able to get the ball out quickly. He's always had a really natural, quick release. That's always been one of his strengths. And, but that's the base, and playing with the base and playing on time within the framework of your mechanics are things that we spend a lot of time talking about. And I think he's done a really nice job of translating those things on the field. And, again, he's always had a quick release, so that part's easy. You don't have to do much coaching there. That's a natural thing that he does.
Holding the elbow up higher, it seems like at the time last year, it seemed like he maybe it was the rush, or maybe what they would have a tendency to drop it.
We don't spend a ton of time with upper body mechanics as much, but there is some awareness of the general principle of you want your elbow above your shoulder for the most part. Whenever you start to drop it, you do lose control of the ball. The accuracy starts to dip a little bit, but he's been conscious of that, and I think
benefit him. Like, why do this change for him?
It's more consistency in the footwork, so you can play on time within the parameters of the progressions of the passing game. Guys that all the really, really great quarterbacks all play with a great base, and they're able to take, a really short first step and the ball comes out. So you tie those mechanical things in with an already a really natural quick release that Will has. I think it's only going to help him. But a lot of it's more the discipline and the footwork leading into the base of the top of the drop, where he can really, I think, generate even more power than he's already got, and it helps him play more on time within the system framework. So that part's he's incredibly coachable. So that part's been fun to watch.
There is Brian Callahan yesterday, and he did not get snapped by Thanos and just disappear off Earth in the middle of that soundbite. Not sure what happened there. That's probably my fault.
No, all good. It's the small details with this group is what you're getting. And again, like I said, you want to emphasize certain stuff, but you don't want to be a stickler about it. It's like, all right, yeah, well, we watch, his technique and how he throws it. But the biggest conversation behind that is Will Levis has gotten better. He's seen where he's supposed to make some changes to either be his throwing motion, his footwork, or just his delivery. And for a guy who's an offensive-minded guy that's been around quarterbacks, Brian Callahan, and how he evaluates Will Levis in this, I think is encouraging. I think it's one of those things, too, it's good to talk about now, because here's my thing in how guys change and transform their techniques this time of the year is, will it hold true in camp? Will it be a situation where this benefits him so much that he sticks with it? Or does he have a bad rep or game or two of practices or he goes back to the old him? That's one thing about changing technique and throwing and stuff like that. But to have a coach I'll be able to identify, hey, you're releasing the ball or your arm slot's a little bit off, and that's why you're missing throws across the middle. I love that for Will Levis. There's nothing better than having a guy who fully understands and is an expert in a sense to how you get better, what it's supposed to look like. And as I said before, one thing we won't have to question, good or bad this year, is that Will Levis was coached properly. Will Levis had proper guidance. You have coaches that understand the position, what the positions around him are supposed to be doing. And you got two guys, Nick Holtz and Bo Hardigree, three guys. Nick Holtz, the offensive coordinator, Bo Hardigree, the quarterback coach, and a head coach in Brian Callahan that know what they want out of a quarterback. You got a three-tiered system of success or failure for Will Levis moving forward.
And that's why I think he landed in the best situation possible with Callahan here now as the head coach, and just his past in terms of what he's been able to do with working with quarterbacks. And I'm not just talking about a guy like Joe Burrow. When Jake Browning had to come in last year and you were able to see somewhat of a smooth transition for what it's worth there in Cincinnati. When your star quarterback goes down, he was able to, kind of do some patchwork there with a quarterback that hadn't had a ton of time being a starter and as it was expected to step in. And the biggest thing that stood out to me when Brian Callahan talked about, the teaching part of it is Will Levis is willing to learn. He is somebody who is coachable. And I think that's such a big part about it. He's young. He's got that edge to him, but he's not going to say, I don't need to do this better, or I don't need to work. He knows everything that he needs to work on. And just the fact we're talking about this already in OTAs, and hopefully we see progression come training camp, where last year Will Levis didn't even get to go through a full training camp because of that thigh injury. I think we're in for, a treat in terms of his development. It's fun to talk about it too, because we've had Tannehill for the past few years as a starter, and we don't get into that kind of stuff because he's set in his ways. He has the ways that he is as a quarterback, and the technique is already there for him. It's kind of fun dissecting this in front of our eyes because Will Levis is so new.
Yeah.
YouTube comment says, I feel like this is the most informed offseason we have had in a long time.
True.
We got to figure out what people want, what Brian Callahan's philosophy is going to be. Remember that conversation that was super big?
Yep.
You're getting a lot. And
they're transparent.
Can I say, as far as just a forewarning to just the people that cover this team, don't ruin it. That's all I ask. Don't ruin, because they're giving a lot. So much so I've said time and time again, from this coaching staff, from the GM, from Chad Brinker to Miss Amy, to everybody like that comes around us. Burke Nihill coming in the studio with us. Don't ruin this for the people that likes to cover this team, that like to cover this team. Because to that point of who said it in the chat, this is a lot of information. And I appreciate it. It gives the fans the true answers that they want, however you want to dissect it. I know some people's like, they're doing a really good spin and making Will Levis like he's the best quarterback in the world. Like, all right, that's your franchise quarterback. Why root against it if that is what they're doing? And if he does fail, you can't say that this coach publicly quit on him, because they haven't. These are the things to me that you get out of like really good ran franchises. Is you get everybody on the same page with the same voice, with the same agenda. That's what you're getting now. And that's one thing I've been saying. Like, at some point, you got to start building pillars, like cornerstone pieces that last for a very long time, so that when player X leaves, another player X moves into his role, or coach for that matter, because the conversation is going to be as electric as Denard Wilson is. I mean, at some point, if this team succeeds, somebody's going to come after him. And what you want is a template in place that nothing changes after he's gone, if that's the case for a guy like him, and that's his desires.
This was Brian Callahan, I thought, an insightful answer about coaching decision-making. And I don't know personally who asked this question. I thought it was a really good one, though, hey, Albert Breer sat down with you, talked about coaching decision-making in the offseason. How do you do that, and what does that look like? And Brian Callahan had this answer.
You start with this, with what you're asking him on a per play basis. What does this progression ask? What is he supposed to do with his footwork? Where are his eyes supposed to be? We're teaching the system first, and then as you get into situations like today being a third down day, you get the chance to look back and say, hey, this was a 3rd and 4 decision. Could you have made a different one? Could the ball gotten out quicker? We don't need to hold on to it in this particular instance. So there's a lot of coaching of the situations that go within teaching of the system. And so where we're at in our process now is more about teaching the system and what's expected. And then you add the situational layers as you get more comfortable with the install. So we're about done with the installation part of the offense. And now it becomes more of a memory and recall and starting to pair a lot more things together. So it's coming together at this point, and then by training camp, we should be ready to roll, and guys should know what to do and how to do it.
I think that's really interesting, the balance of coaching and watching film of what Levis did in 9 games last season and marrying that to what you're doing in practice and how to fix it. It does seem like Brian Callahan and the Titans staff with Will Levis is starting to now transition to, all right, last year is last year. Now, at this point of the process, let's look at the tape as we install the offense and learn what you like and what you don't like and what your eyes are seeing or not seeing in OTAs and 7-on-7 and things of that nature.
Yeah, really quick on that. It helps, though, that they had film to look at last year. As much as, you think about it.
As far as Levis getting reps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, because you have something to work with. And that's a significant amount of games, too. So, in a way, thank goodness there was film from him last year.
Yeah, he needed it, and Coach Callahan's going to throw him right back into the fire this year. So he'll have no excuse. We'll know.
Mm-hmm. 615-737-1045. 2 Titans defensive players had high praise of their new defensive coordinator yesterday, and at the same time threw a little bit of shade. At least one of them did. At the old regime. We'll play that audio next. Kicking and pushing through hour number 3 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. 615-737-1045. How you join us? We got an honest assessment about the Titans defense yesterday. For all of the discussion we've had about Will Levis, the offensive line, Brian Callahan, there's a new defense installed as well. And it feels yesterday, guys, like maybe this was as much clarity as we've had in terms of defensive differences. Kayla, I know you were in a very candid conversation with Arden Key that we will hear some audio from here in a moment.
Yeah, and if you ever talk to Arden Key, and you've probably heard stuff from him last year, he is a very honest, transparent guy. Now, part of that is this season, we like to see Titans fans would like to see him be more of a consistent force, a 3-down player in terms of that position. But he is going to be honest about the changes in the defense. And that's why I thought it was important to ask him about those changes, what Denard Wilson maybe does differently than the old staff. And I'm not trying to poo on the old staff at all. They do things different. But why is it maybe better in a way for some of the guys on this team, the new guys, and just a new fresh start?
So here's the thing, too, before we get to the audio. I just wanted to say this. Sometimes, when you're sitting on the back porch or you're sitting in your apartment or wherever else in your house or in the car, and people just start talking freely, and then they go in public, they talk a different way. Well, you got an honest, unlocked Arden Key yesterday because he dropped a profanity, he dropped a bad word.
He was passionate.
Originally, but he was so comfortable and passionate about saying that that it just came out. And so if we're speaking about the truth and from one regime to the other, to your point, you got an honest answer from a guy yesterday that I don't think it seemed like it was a little bit, all right, they were a little bit fed up with certain things and needed to be challenged and reshift their thinking. And him dropping the bad word was, okay, I thought a real moment of honesty from a dude like him.
Before we get to that audio, what differences can you see? I know you talked about watching a little bit more of the defense yesterday within practice itself. I know it's very early. I know pads aren't on, but Denard Wilson was out there for the first time where you guys could watch him yesterday.
Mm-hmm. And there was a thing that, stood out, and I think it was Cheeto who said it. He was telling a story about it can't be that easy. It can't be that easy. He is very intense in the way that he does things. And if you mess up or if there's something he doesn't like, you're doing it again. There's a lot of consistency and efficiency in the way that he runs things. And clearly, he also trusts his position coaches. This is a big thing. He trusts his position coaches to take care of what they need to take care of. In the past, I don't know how much, say Vrabel had overall in everything, but I do feel like he was the end-all, be-all, and that's the way he ran the ship, right? But I think there is a little bit more like, hey, you do your thing as a position coach. I trust you to do that. But if Denard's there and Denard's, running whatever drill or is around that drill, like he's also going to say, if I don't like that, let's do it again.
So this was Titans outside linebacker Arden Key talking about the differences schematically between last year's defense and this year's defense.
Last year, okay, decent. I mean, none got outside of me. That's in the edge. So I did pretty good last year. This year, be better. Better than what they want. Just the defense, the style of defense that we run this year is different than last year. It's a lot, 3 points, some 2 points, but it's getting vertical. Everything is vertical. Inside guys getting vertical, the edge rush is getting vertical. We set the edge, and the inside guys collect, so that's what it is.
So, Ramon, for those of us that did not play football and don't have the 11 years of professional football education that you have, explain to us what getting vertical means for a defensive player.
They will be attacking up the field. There's 2 types of defenses. Ones that hold blocks at the line of scrimmage, and yes, defensive linemen hold blocks. It's usually a 3-down defense or 3-4 defense. This will be, for the most part, I think, depending on situations, a 4-down attacking up the field style of defense. Old Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're looking at the way Kansas City plays, getting upfield. We're looking at Baltimore doesn't unless they're in unless there's third down situations, getting upfield attack. LA Rams.
Okay.
That's the perfect thing. LA Rams Super Bowl is what you're getting.
Sure. Is there more of a, well, let me say, is there more of an opportunity for Arden Key to, let's just say, fill up the stat sheet?
For a guy like him?
In this style, because he's talking about, look, I'm setting the edge in run defense a lot. I'm simply holding up someone to allow a linebacker to fill in behind me to make a stop. In this defense, is there an opportunity for him to splash more because he is getting more vertical and trying to get to the quarterback more?
So we will call this type of defense, that I would breaking them down. They are. It seems to me the description of the defense will be they are a team that rushes the quarterback on rushes the quarterback on the way to stop the run. That's the way they be. Everything is to get to the quarterback and get upfield. If I can stop the run on my way to the quarterback, then, hey, that's a bonus for me. But what I won't have happen is me getting pushed off the line of scrimmage. Think about the personalities that you have on this team, too. You got Jeff, who wants to get upfield. You got a guy like Tavondre that wants to get upfield. You got Colburn, who wants to get upfield. And here's the thing about it, too, and Arden Key is somewhat is saying that, too, as it pertains to the run game. Don't worry about me setting the edge. That is something that I'm going to do when I know it's run situations. And he was right. Not much got outside of him in the run game. This will be a defense that causes headaches. They're going to run probably plenty of games. It's going to be about how quickly you can get upfield. I'm going to other guys like a Warren Sapp, right? Sapp, attacking, get up the field type of defensive player. To me, and hearing these guys speak about Denard Wilson, hearing them talk about what their plans are defensively, you know what I get also, and it's just hit my mind when I thought about him. You're getting Greg Williams, New Orleans Saints. If you
Greg Williams, Tennessee Titans as well.
Yeah, Greg Williams, Tennessee. You're getting that. It'll probably look more like Cleveland. It'll probably look more like the Rams. It'll be a headache. Now here's the other side of that too. That getting up the field has to also come with discipline, is what Arden's saying also.
And that was my next question, because it feels like maybe in this context, you're trying to raise the ceiling of what you could be, but you also could be lowering the floor of what you could be, because with aggression comes risk-taking, which comes mistakes.
Which comes explosion plays potentially happening.
Yeah.
And that's where, stopping the run on the way to the quarterback is awesome if you actually do stop the run. Now, if you got guys that don't live in a world where they stick with their assignments, that's when you have guys out of gaps. That's when, hey, my race to get to the quarterback or get a TFL hurts the team. I was in one of our most famous games I've ever played in, is us versus the Cowboys. And we had a guy who had that mentality that wants to get upfield to go make a play. Well, he gets outside of his gap, and Ezekiel Elliott runs a touchdown to seal the game. You open yourself up for mistakes in this type of defense. But what I think with the signings that you made with a guy like Kenneth Murray, that's why I think his signing plays a huge part in it too, because he's the type of linebacker that can fill gaps a whole lot quicker in the run game for an attacking defense. I don't worry about Kenneth Murray being a coverage linebacker.
Well, they said they want him to play free. They've said that repeatedly.
That's
Ramon.
what that means.
Yeah.
He will be the cover up to all things that happen up front with the 4D linemen. And again, I hope we see a higher uptick in sacks, TFLs, and just explosion plays behind the line of scrimmage for a team that's been adamant on being an attacking style defense. I am getting Greg Williams out of this. And if you listen to Denard Wilson, especially on the Chris Long's podcast, you hear Greg Williams' names dropped off now. And his intro presser here, he mentioned Greg's Williams name here. You asked him about the places he's gone. Look at the people he's been coached under.
Sure.
It is Greg Williams.
Yeah.
And what a governor out there.
And he said the first
With
day.
no spy gate, or what is it? What gate?
Bounty Gate.
Bounty Gate.
Yeah.
Which gate was it?
Which gate was it?
Yeah.
He said from the start, Denard, the minute he sat down, we spoke with him as the new defensive coordinator. That was it. Attacking, aggressive. Those are the two words he used. Whether or not he even talked about scheme at that point, those were the two things he used, that this was going to be this defense. And that is the reoccurring theme that we hear and see early on from this. Now, we'll see it as it transpires throughout the offseason and into training camp and then in games. But I mean, it's getting high praise in terms of the players and what they feel they could do better, or just in terms of how they can improve.
Yeah.
And look, it's a different coaching style. And I don't care. I'm like saying I don't want to poo-poo the other staff. Yeah, I'm not going to, because I'm not going to compare what they did. There was success stories within that defense at certain points. This is just different.
So here was my description of it before we get to the rest of what Arden had to say too. I texted this to y'all yesterday in our group chat. It seems this is what I said. There seems to be a common theme with what these guys are saying. As I'm listening to McCreary's description of the Nard, he's making the players be the aggressors and trying to bring it out of them and allowing them to be bulls in china shops. It seems like the Vrabel regime wanted the players to be like him. This fan base even embraced Vrabel tough.
And
be
it
like
worked for a while.
It worked for a while, but here's where it messes up.
Mm-hmm.
It's you got to meet his expectations.
Yeah.
We heard Wesley Woodyard get railed by a lot of his fan base by saying, hey, no, that's not how it was, because people believed in Vrabel.
Yep.
Here's where I think the Nard situation is a little bit different. He's just releasing the players and go say, sick them. But here's our template to what we're doing. You can let players, and that's why they're speaking so freely. And we're going to get to the audio about he's just letting us be us. We're just doing our thing. That's true. But he's also got a template in how you operate as a defense, too. I think it's more about, can you meet Vrabel standards instead of trying to empower the players to reach their own potential?
And I look at it as this. You can have some success doing maybe what, that style was at that time.
Yeah.
But is that sustainable over a long period of time? That's now where you're looking at this new regime and being like, is this more sustainable? Yet to be seen. But it's something.
If I know I can be my best self and I know what the guy in front of me is doing, then yes, I can. I think it's sustainable.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think it's sustainable at that point. And it does come down to the Jimmys and Joes too. What type of guys are you employing to be in those positions?
Arden Key was also asked about the differences in practice. Kayla asked this about fixing things immediately after a mistake is made. Arden Key had this to say.
Arden, when it comes to this defense with Denard, what's different? And
intensity. Intensity he bring every day. He the same guy every day coming in. He demands detail, the work. If we mess up out there, we starting it over. No, we'll see it later or move on to the next play. We're going to fix the problem right then and there. He demands a lot from us, expect a lot from us. And he's a great leader. The leadership he got just as a D coordinator. I've been around a lot. I've been around a couple teams.
Arden Key, not exactly a ringing endorsement of the Mike Vrabel, Shane Bowen era.
You're getting a lot out of it. A lot of what he won't say, because he still respect the heck out of Vrabel too, I think. But there are differences when you've been to other places or you've seen how other teams have success. And that governor, I think he held on certain people because you got to do it a certain way. I'm alluding to this. I don't know this to be facts, but the conversation makes it seem as if he had a standard in which was acceptable to Vrabes. And if you didn't meet that standard of his, then you were out. In all actuality, we heard Wes say this when he spoke about Jayon, right? Jayon wasn't a very physical linebacker, but he was effective. Mm-hmm. And because he wasn't a physical linebacker in the eyes of Coach Vrabel, from Wesley Woodyard's words,
David Long too.
Then it wasn't acceptable, right? David Long Jr. also. And we're looking at other guys that have been here in these types of situations that have been productive, but I guess it didn't meet the standards of how he wanted it to be. Then you were on the outside looking in, or it ruined your career as far as how your production went. And you can call the guy soft. You can call him weak for the people that believe in that style of play. But in the NFL, you get guys off what they can do with their jobs. Are you productive or are you not? Mm-hmm. And if they are productive, you know what you say? Hands off, just do that. Make sure that if you do mess up, I'm going to get you.
Right.
But I'm going to go let you make 120 tackles a year. I don't need you to be a tough guy walking out there on one leg just to prove to me that you are my type of player. And I think that's why when Wes said that type of stuff earlier this year, I think, or late last year, whenever the heck it was, people looked at him like, oh, no, those guys are just soft. But now you hear Arden Key somewhat relay the same message. that, hey, we can just go be ourselves and play ball. Hey, am I hurt this week? Yeah, coach, I'm a little iffy. All right, well, take a day off. I don't think you soft. I just need your best self on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And again, this ain't no attack on him. It's just that when you're around pros in this world and guys have families and have the same respect that you have as a grown man, then you got to operate a little bit different too. That's why I think you're hearing guys say we get a little bit more freedom and we can breathe. Like if you can't hear the black cloud that's released out of these guys' voices and their comments, then I think you can understand why it fell the way it fell here so quickly. And we're 2 years removed from this team being in the AFC Championship.
Well, and
then it fell quick.
A lot of it too, that the more you're losing and the more you got pressure on you to win as a coach, you wonder how much more you get locked down to that. Even more so, like microscope every single thing that these guys are doing, calling out every little mistake. Because again, Azeez Al-Shaair at the end of the year after the Jags win, he went honest as he could get and said, we didn't feel the pressure in this game. We didn't feel we were under a microscope or that everything we had to do was we were going to get yelled at. We went out in there and played free. And, you wonder too, as the losses came under the Vrabel regime, how much he kind of, maybe when he should have went opposite of doing it, he kind of clamped down even more and put more pressure on these players. To feel like they weren't doing anything right. And Chika Okonkwo said something that stood out to me that you said about Mike Tomlin's locker room. And he said, we kind of patrol ourselves. Yeah. And, we set the tone. I thought that was interesting. Just because you've mentioned before, that's how things were in your locker room.
Yeah, and I've heard other stories around the locker room pertaining to that type of stuff. Again, Coach T used to do a drive-by and get the heck out of the locker room. That's how it is. Now here's the thing, too. These are my opinions. Vrab can call into the show and say, Ramon, you're 100% wrong, and this is how it went. But from the conversation that these guys are giving, it seems to me that they are in a different space professionally and as a team than they ever were under him, especially for a one-year guy like Arden.
And the thing I would say to play devil's advocate and bring it back to the middle is that none of this matters until they win games.
Right.
Facts.
Yep.
And you can have this happy, good culture, and it's not a negative. Like someone's going to comment or call it and say classic Will being negative again. But this to me is not a negative statement. It's the reality of talking about football in shorts in the end of May is that maybe these guys are being too nice. Maybe they're fixing too many things at the moment and not moving on when they should. Like, we don't know that yet. I have no reason to believe that this coaching staff is being too nice to the players, obviously. But until they win games, it doesn't really matter how happy everyone is. Right. And yes, of course, it's a good thing that these players, it feels like, are playing with less pressure, are playing more freely, and have the freedom to express themselves both on and off the field. That's something that's important in professional sports. But until we know if that works, we're all just throwing darts at the board blindfolded and seeing what sticks. So we'll see. I mean, I'm of the opinion that it is a great thing, and I think Denard Wilson's a head coach in this league within 2 years. But we don't know. So we'll see.
It is. Everybody's 0-0 right now.
And that's why I think it's totally fair to compare the two staffs, right? Like it's not a negative to say that this is totally different from Mike Vrabel and a 180. Like, you always in sports overcorrect in your next coach to what you didn't have in the previous coach. That's just the way sports work. Tennessee went from Jeremy Pruitt to Josh Heupel. They went from Butch Jones to Jeremy Pruitt. They went from Philip Fulmer to Lane Kiffin, for crying out loud. And that's just the Tennessee example. Like, you go from offense to defense. Then when Brian Callahan's gone, you know who the Titans will probably hire? A defensive coach.
Strict guy.
And we'll talk ourselves into this is a football guy who's an old-fashioned, it's just the way pro sports and college sports work. So it's not a dig personally at anyone. It's just, it is the sign of a changing culture. And I think it's changing in a really positive way. 615-737-1045. Speaking of changing cultures and positive results, Nashville SC did something extremely significant last night, and we'll tell you about that coming up next.
It is that time of the year where you're going to have to put that AC on. I know we all like to save money, and we can help you do that because if your windows are not opening properly, maybe they're leaking, that probably means you need new windows from Window Nation to keep that AC in. And they have their semi-annual sale going on. 50% off all window styles right now. Plus, you get 0% interest for 5 whole years and an additional bonus if you are able to actually schedule an appointment today.
No doubt about it, Kayla. And here's the thing about it, man. You can see if you need new windows by simply this. Do your windows leak water? They have condensation on them, moldy or rotten or get hot to the touch. Or you just simply tired of paying the high utility bill because all that good air is going outside trying to cool off the outdoors. It doesn't work, okay? All Window Nation do is windows. They've installed over 200,000 windows last year. That's 40 times more than the average window company, with 96% of them requiring no follow-up service. Kayla just told you. Semi-annual sale going on right now. 50% off all style windows. So many deals, man. You got to simply call them at 866-90-NATION or go online to windownation.com.
Last night, big win for a professional sporting event for a team in Nashville. 615-737-1045 as Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues. Nashville Soccer Club goes to FC Cincinnati 2-0. Boys in gold. Getting the win last night. You heard it right here on 104.5 The Zone with myself and Lucas Panzica. FC Cincinnati was one of 4 teams ever, guys, to have a 7-match winning streak in Major League Soccer. Ever.
7 games?
7-game winning streak.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a ton, maybe within the pro sports context, right? When you can draw games, though, that's a lot of games. When there's 3 outcomes at the end of every game. MLS also one of the most difficult leagues in the world to play on the road. Nashville ends their 7-game winning streak, gets a big win, and Nashville moves up to 9th in the Eastern Conference, which is above the playoff line. This was a signature win and one of the best wins for Nashville SC in quite some time. Needed it last night.
You guys were spicy last night, too, man. I thoroughly enjoyed listening. I was waiting for my kid to get finished with baseball. Y'all were on 10 last night, you and Lucas, man. I was thoroughly pleased. I texted you during the broadcast, which I shouldn't because you got to focus.
That's all right.
But I was like, I appreciate your pettiness during it, man. Any enemy of my enemy is my friend. And last night, Will was great friends with me because you just bashed Cincy in a way that was just really good. And it was in a good way. But the calls were good last night. Listen to the goals go through. You guys breaking it down was awesome, man. I appreciate that entertainment last night.
So my question for you, being around this team as you have, especially the past couple of years, with the trend, since the departure of Gary Smith and the interim taking over, is this, I don't want to overplay the momentum thing, but is this a good sign in terms of where they're trending at this point of the season, considering what they have left on the schedule?
Yeah, so in their 7 games since April 27th, Nashville has conceded the least amount of goals in Major League Soccer. They've only conceded 4 goals. That is directly lined up with Walker Zimmerman returning to the lineup. Had a little minor knee procedure, cleaned some things up after an injury against Inter Miami. So Walker being back and Shaq Moore being back on that back line has just given them a ton of momentum. Last season, the back line of Dan Lovitz, Jack Mayer, Walker Zimmerman, and Shaq Moore played together 17 times. They have only played together 3 times from the start this season, and it's the last 3 games.
Okay.
In those 3 games, Nashville has conceded 1 goal, and it was an outside-the-box goal from Bartosz Slisz of Atlanta that is hard to really prevent. A couple of weeks ago in a game where Nashville had 1 day to prepare for Atlanta with their interim head coach, Rumba Muntali, who I think has done a really good job. So, roundabout way to answer, yes, they are more confident. They're playing more freely. It's actually funny. It's funny the similarities of what we were just talking about with the Titans. And a lot of the similarities with this Nashville team, and I've talked to the interim head coach, Rumba Muntali, about this. I've talked to GM Mike Jacobs about this, that Rumba's goal as the player development director for Nashville SC is to help guys individually. So he's the guy that's working with wingers, with midfielders, with different players before and after practice on individual skills and techniques. So now him being the interim head coach, his goal is to continue that freedom and allow players to express themselves within the context of games. Soccer is unique in that regard because you don't have a ton of set plays, right? Like, it's not like you're going to be within a box and a rigid, like, all right, you run a post, you run a go. Like, soccer is totally impromptu. Yeah. It's extemporaneous. Yeah. It's the freedom of expression. It's why it's called the beautiful game, right? So there are a lot of players last night that in this game looked like different versions of themselves because of the confidence and the freedom that they're not making mistakes at the back defensively that were plaguing them through the first month and a half of the season. Now that they've taken those out, you've kind of seen the shoulders drop a little bit and the chest pops out a little bit to say, all right, like this is Nashville SC.
Sure.
So really excited to see what's next as the search continues for Gary Smith's replacement and where this club goes. But Rumba Muntali deserves a ton of credit for the way that he has helped grow the confidence levels of a lot of really important players.
He probably shows Nashville SC what this team needs moving forward as a coach.
100%.
Even if it's not
100%.
him, he's showing them this is what they want.
Yeah, and I've talked to to management about that too, of just as MLS evolves, how does Nashville SC evolve?
Okay.
That is where they're coming from, of how do we take advantage of some roster construction rules that are changing this summer, where you have more ability to bring in young players and these U22 initiative players that count in a different way against the salary cap. That's a big way that teams can build their rosters in competitive ways. And, when you have the giants of, I think the big three teams in MLS right now that are Columbus, Cincinnati, and Miami, all in the Eastern Conference. Like, the best three teams in this league right now are all in the East. You got to play them 6 times total. I think Cincinnati is the best team in MLS. I think that was the hardest game of the season for Nashville SC that they will have all year from February through October, and they won it.
I think it's always fascinating, too, where interims come into play in sports and just the galvanizing that happens sometimes, whatever sport it might be. That just reminded me of another instance where a team kind of regroups.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, fun one. Ended a 7-game winning streak and ended Lucho Acosta's 9-game goal contribution streak. The MVP for FC Cincinnati, who was also approaching historic levels in that. He had 9 straight games with a goal or assist.
Wow.
No more.
Nope.
NSC over FCC, the way the good Lord intended. All right, coming up, we will recap everything we have talked about so far this morning. Hear a little bit from the practice field yesterday, plus the differences in working on the offensive line practice field at Titans OTAs. Ramon will break that down for us coming up next. What's up? It's Will Bowling. You deserve all the comforts of home, including endless hot water at your fingertips. Tankless water heaters powered by new recirculation systems save energy, money, time, and space. And of course, Lee Company, they not only have the best advice, the best equipment, they've also got the best offers for you to make this happen. A limited time offer of $750 off a tankless water heater when you purchase a recirculation system. And to make the heater even sweeter, qualified buyers receive 18 months of 0% financing. You got to take advantage of this offer today. Call my friends at Lee Company at 615-567-1000 or go to leecompany.com/promotions to get $750 off a tankless water heater. That's $750 off a tankless water heater when you purchase a new recirculation system from the good folks at Lee Company. Open 24/7, 365. Give them a call, 615-567-1000. Online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company. All you need.
What's going on? 9:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. A little bit of breaking news this morning as Miami and wide receiver Jalen Waddle reached an agreement on a 3-year deal worth about $84 million, includes $76 million guaranteed. It makes Waddle one of the league's top 5 highest paid wide receivers. Miami getting one of their receivers back in the building and not having to deal with a holdout like most of the other people are. Jalen Waddle recorded his 3rd consecutive 1,000-yard receiving season last season, becoming the first player in Dolphins franchise history to do so. The Titans were back on the practice field for OTAs yesterday. Calvin Ridley turning heads, and Brian Callahan was very complimentary.
Everything that we thought it would be. It's always exciting when you sign a guy in free agency and you hope, but you don't always know. You go by what you hear and what you see, and it's always good when the guy gets in the building and you see he's everything that you would expect him to be.
Speaking of wide receivers getting paid, Juwan Jennings signing a 2-year deal worth up to $15 million with $10 million guaranteed with San Francisco. Through 3 years in San Francisco, Jennings caught 78 passes for 963 yards and 7 touchdowns. And Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals is tonight. Game starts at 7:30. Mavericks 1 win away from punching their ticket to the NBA Finals as the series shifts back to Minnesota, where the Timberwolves have a 3-4 record at home in the playoffs this year. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour of the show, wrapping up the final 60 minutes of your Thursday morning. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, I'm Will Bowling. Coming up, the RKW draft is back. Ladies and gentlemen, we will draft in the order of our Thursday 3 finishes from this past season to begin the draft season, meaning Kayla will go first, Bert will go second, Ramon will go last. It's more the headline we should have started with.
Hang on, did Kayla win Thursday 3?
No, I think.
No, you did.
Yeah,
That's right.
Bert goes first.
I legitimately did not remember. Bert will go first. Kayla will go second. I will go third.
Okay.
Where do I go again?
Last.
After third.
Which is honestly,
before fifth.
This is a snake draft, correct?
It is a snake draft.
So in a snake draft, you're in the sweet spot because you will get to watch everybody else pick, and then you get back-to-back picks. That's a great place to be.
Truth.
I hate when people do that, Bert. And I know exactly what you're doing. You're making fun. Oh, look, he goes last. You know what? What do you want, candy or whooping? That's basically what you asked me right now.
A whooping?
Who's ever chosen whooping out of those two options?
Well,
I didn't choose it growing up, but I got it.
That's the trick. You don't have an option. You're getting this whoop. No, man. All right, I'll go last. It's cool. I get double picks now.
Well, you can go first on talking about the differences at Titans OTAs when it comes to the way the offensive line is being coached. We talked about that in hour 1 this morning. If you missed that, you can find it on the 104.5 The Zone YouTube page that is already posted for your viewing pleasure. If you are picking one thing, Ramon Foster, that is the biggest difference between a Bill Callahan coached offensive line and let's just put it to last year, a Jason Hotaling coached offensive line, what's the biggest difference at practice?
So many things, Will. I can't really just.
All right, give me
one.
the 3 biggest differences.
Is nonstop. It is position specific to playing, and those are the 2 things. Those 2 right there. There's no wasted drills whatsoever. You're not out there just tossing balls around like heavy balls just to be like, okay, we're showing you how to punch. No, they're putting guys in front of you so that you feel guys like bodies on you to know how to handle a defensive line. And then everybody's in there's one sound out there. That's the other side of it to me. There's absolutely one sound you hit. Kayla, you were out there. Mm-hmm. When they hit the pads, it wasn't.
No.
It was.
Yes.
When their feet smooth, like when their
And you
feet
pointed
move.
that out when I was standing by you, and then I made sure, let's get it on video.
When he said set hut, Coach Bill Callahan said set hut. The left foot moved at the same time as the other person. Right foot moved, and then he hit the pad. There is a method to what he's teaching. Yes, and it's synchronized. Yes, that's the word. It's synchronized, Will. Every single thing is, and all the drill work they did is stuff that you work on in plays.
Interesting.
Y'all can get me going on this. I can just sit here and just do a friggin'
It's
TED
fascinating,
talk on
though.
what it was. Lucas asked me also in the hallway. I like to mess around with him in the hallway when they're doing show prep. He was like, what's the easiest position someone would probably coach up or the most consistent? And I thought about it, I was like, well, if you got a good technique and method to how you coach, and Coach Bill Callahan does, and it's probably the offensive line. Because there's one position where you're somewhat boxed into the things that you can do. With a quarterback, we heard Coach Brian Callahan talk about the arm slots. When you speak about wide receiver, if you're faster than somebody, you're probably just going to beat them and get open, right? On defense can make a mistake and cover it up by making a tackle also, or an interception happens. On the offensive line is one of the only positions where you have to carry out the same technique, the same movement, to where if you do those things, you'll be successful. And I think that's what he's empowering these guys to do, is he's empowering them to be successful with the technique that he knows is going to work.
Yeah.
Right.
There is some very bad news for my favorite holiday on the calendar.
Wait, what?
There's some bad Thanksgiving news out there.
And I know it's Thanksgiving for you.
Shoot.
What we got?
Ross Dellinger reporting. The 2024 Egg Bowl is moving to Black Friday.
Is it
Of course
really?
it is.
Is it really?
The Egg Bowl will no
Another
longer be
change.
played on Thanksgiving.
Who do we got to go talk to?
I'm ready to fight somebody.
Lane?
and
Kiffin? Do you have his number?
You're not. Who, Lane?
Yeah. Should we get him on the show?
I am deeply, deeply
Y'all can
saddened.
talk to him.
Deeply saddened to learn the Egg Bowl will no longer be played on Thanksgiving. That is one of the best parts of Thanksgiving. You do Thanksgiving lunch, because Thanksgiving dinner/lunch is a 3 p.m. meal. If you're eating it earlier or later, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you get Sister Schubert rolls and put the turkey and dressing in a roll for dinner when you get a little hungry again.
Yep.
And you watch the dumbest football game of the year. Ole Miss, Mississippi State is the dumbest football game of the year, and I love every single second of it. Usually the team that is fighting for bowl eligibility usually beats the team that actually has playoff aspirations. I don't think that will be the case this year, but you never know. It is the equivalent of two toddlers hitting each other with pool noodles.
Love that.
The Egg Bowl. Everyone, it is one of America's best pastimes, the Egg Bowl. And it's not going to be on Thanksgiving anymore, and I'm not happy about it.
What if I said that cracks me up, Will?
Oh, I would say that's excellent.
You got me walking on eggshells back here.
I guess the yoke's on you.
Can we scramble this and just serve it at somewhere else, okay, please? I ruined it, and I was glad to
You
ruin
were
it,
getting
okay?
on track, though, something there.
Nope.
There's so many egg puns, like it's over easy. It's not even just easy.
Oh.
You should see the sunny side of things. Will.
That's where I was going to go next. You did well. You did well. The yoke's on you. Like I said.
Some you. I cannot believe this. Okay, so why? Is this an NFL problem?
I'm guessing it might mean that Texas A&M Texas will take that Thursday slot. Perhaps.
Texas comes right in and demands the schedule.
Well, no, Texas A&M Texas is a superior football game.
I know, but I'm just trying to put on Texas even more. I'm trying to lay it on them even
trying
more.
to lay it on
trying to make
Texas
people hate them even more.
That game, I assume, that game's on the 30th.
I mean, they're really the experts.
Well done.
You thought about that one, I think.
Well done.
Yeah, that was good right there, Bird. I appreciate your attempt right there.
I'm scrambling to find more options that I can say.
I'd much rather watch Texas than Texas A&M.
I mean, it's better football, don't get me wrong, but the Egg Bowl is the most marvelously stupid game in all of college football. The fact that you had a player a couple of years ago get penalized for doing a fake dog peeing celebration,
that was great.
and then they missed the ensuing extra point to lose the game. That is the Egg Bowl in about a 5-minute span.
Yeah.
I love when you come out of your shell to really roast somebody like that.
Take down the Google search results that you have right now looking for egg jokes and play fair. You are like Barry Bonds in the steroid era right now.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, Will. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Some of us were born this way.
AI up right now.
Some of us were born this way.
Y'all took all the good ones. I'm over here eating Granny's deviled eggs, and y'all got all the good eggs.
Hey, man, that was actually pretty
excellent that I could start that.
there.
I've already used that one. The devil's in the details.
Come on.
I'm gonna let that slide. Okay?
Wolf.
Get it? You didn't get it? I'm gonna let
Wait,
that
slide?
I'm gonna let that
You
slide.
got to be more. You got to be more.
Omelette. Stop.
You've got to be a bit
All right.
more obvious.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
you got to emphasize.
I'm about to go to break.
I'll hatch a plan next time then.
Oh my god!
You missed
now
that
you,
one, too?
you really think
Close
you
your
are on a
laptop.
roll.
We should have a.
You think you're on a roll
The
right
internet
now?
cuts out in this building all the time, and it needs to cut out again right
Y'all
now.
gotta quit ignoring me.
Ignoring? That's a good one. Are we
Anyway,
done
coming
with the
up.
show?
Coming
See ya.
up, the RKW draft, ladies and gentlemen, is back. We carry this energy into the next segment. We had a very lively discussion a few weeks ago about the best places to drink a beer.
Yeah.
That is the first installment of the 2024 RKW draft coming up.
And always remember, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot because I ain't going to be here.
Hour number 4 on your Thursday morning. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Robert Walsh is spinning the hits. Back by very popular demand. It is the RKW drafts. And if you were not with us last summer when we began this, summer begins after Memorial Day. We're here, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go.
There'll be plenty of Titans OTAs talk as we continue forward. Lots more on that tomorrow, of course. And we spent 3 hours on it today. We're going to devote a couple of minutes to the return of a segment that is back weekly. And we are going to keep score this time, who wins each poll. So essentially what you have is a 4-round snake draft between the 4 of us on some kind of topic. You can submit different topics to us. This is not a dictatorship. This is a democracy where we have 51% of the vote. And you can give us different things we should vote on and pick and things of that nature. But today, we give you the opportunity to vote on the winner, as we always do after we do this. And which of us picked the best team? Last year, we had NFL throwback jerseys. We had best villains in sports. We had a number of topics. And so we'll post a graphic of all of our picks and the poll after it is over. But today's topic is the best place to drink a beer. We keep these things open-ended intentionally. We encourage creativity, similarly to the way Denard Wilson runs the Titans defense these days. We encourage thinking outside the box. Best place to drink a beer. That's the only rule that we have today. So we go on the Thursday 3 rankings of last year. Bert will go first. Kayla will go second. I will go third. Ramon will go last. Robert Walsh, you have the number 1 overall pick of the 2024 RKW draft.
And this was tough for me because I didn't get the qualifications completely correct because some beers I didn't have a location for. I just thought that beer was best. So I might save those for my 3rd and 4th pick and try to argue with the judges to get those in. But I've got to go chalk. It's 1.01. I have to go chalk. And in my opinion, the best beer is a beach beer. So I've got to go.
That is the correct answer.
I've got to go beach beer, number 1 overall.
Easy 1-1 pick.
Can I be bougie right here?
Yes.
And this is soft of me.
You can be bougie.
Private jet beer? Like, what do you want?
This is soft of me to say this, though, too. But, like, I don't want to have the beach beer because the can gets cold and condensation outside, and then the sand is all around the lip of the beer.
You gotta get
Am I overthinking it?
That's on you not having a koozie or some kind of Yeti that goes around the can.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you got them open long enough for them to go hot?
100%. You're not drinking it fast enough at that point.
That's a me problem.
That's a you problem.
This is innovation that excites that you are not partaking in.
The issue is Ramon is usually on a boat, on a yacht, so he doesn't have to deal with the sand. He gets the water and he gets the atmosphere without the sand. So we get it.
I ain't that fancy. I just got a problem with sand in my drinks. That's all.
I'm mad at Bert because he took mine because I had the transition of me being at the beach all weekend and that was all around me. And how couldn't you do that? But I'll go in a different direction. And I will also give my experiences when I go to a baseball game. There is beer overflowing, whether you get the tall stacks or the cans or whatever it might be. You're getting up every couple innings and you're getting yourself a good cold beer. And you've got the time to drink up until like the 8th inning. So baseball game.
I like it.
That's fair.
All right.
Love that.
Baseball beer, the number 2 pick. This is difficult for me because I could pander and do the more general answer of what I think more people will relate to, or I could do the answer that I think is the best option. This is my draft. I'm going to give the one that I think is better.
There you go.
There you go.
Because when I am golfing, there is nothing like Blue Mountains on the middle of a golf course, in the middle of an electric weekend, holiday, an excellent day. The golf course beer.
Yeah.
Is my first round pick at number 3 overall. It calms you just a little bit. There's a line between one too many beers where then your swing is just not what it needs to be. But there's also a couple that takes the edge off a little bit and allows you to relax and just swing freely. So the golf course beer is my number 3 overall pick.
I think that's a legit one.
I'm with that. But all the stuff that y'all saying, some requires too much work. Other than the baseball beer, it was one of mine I had written down, okay? Too much work on that and too many different elements. I am pandering to the crowd. I got to start winning these contests, okay?
I know. I'm like, where is he going
I'm
with
pandering
this,
to the
folks?
crowd. Do you hear me? Number 1 on this list is walking to the games, any game. It could be football. Walking to Nissan. with a 12-pack in your hand to go to the tailgate, you drop that case on the table, crack open the can right there. The tailgate beer.
The tailgate beer.
There we go.
God, come on.
Like
That's a
it.
strong pick.
Tailgate beer is where you want to be at. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Thursdays. Don't matter, okay?
This dude ain't even got no experience tailgate. He's playing in all the games. What are we talking? What's he know about a tailgate beer?
I see it.
Seriously.
It looks fun to me, okay?
Oh, it
You'll
is.
see everyone at the sporting events having fun, and you want to get in on that.
How do you think I see these things? I'm like, damn, it'd be nice to have one.
Right, yeah.
I got to go play 70 plays.
That was my 102, dude. You snagged that one.
All right.
That's pretty good.
All right, and you get 2 picks in a row because this is a snake draft.
See, the next one, I'm pandering to the crowd, just so y'all know. I'm acting like your politicians here in 2024, okay? This is where I'm at right now. Number 2 pick for me, the cookout beer.
Ooh.
Show up.
I'm happy with that guess.
Bring a plate.
That one.
Don't even bring a plate. Hey, where the beer at? Over there in the cooler. Which cooler? Red cooler? Yes, a red cooler. White cooler's for the kids, okay? Red cooler.
What, you got
Grab a
Heinekens
beer
in
out
there?
of that. No,
You got
red
non-alcoholics
cooler.
in there?
It's kids at the cookouts, okay? That's all I'm saying. And white coolers for the kids. Red coolers for the adults.
Fair enough. The white
Stop.
styrofoam cooler that has drinks colder than the Arctic.
I might be double fisting. I might have a Capri Sun and a beer at Ramon's house.
I had so many Capri
ain't
Suns over the weekend, by the
Dude,
way.
they're so good. And by the way, you're an adult. You could just snip the end off with some scissors and just stone cold 2 of them bad boys.
I'm winning already. Y'all set the setting for me already. The
Ah.
cookout beer is it.
Let's not
I
get
hate
too
this
far ahead of
dude.
yourself.
I am shocked and appalled that at number 6 overall, this selection has made it all the way back to me. I am absolutely flabbergasted that in the second round I can take the airport beer.
I knew it.
The airport beer is
I knew it.
almost a number 1 overall pick worthy beer. Because when you are going on vacation and you are sitting in the airport, it can be 9 a.m. I'm getting a beer. You're going to see me. I'm leaving here with something. Titans press box in the Nashville International Airport. I've got a flight at 8:20 tomorrow morning. You might be seeing me there with a tailgate cider in hand. No, I am not an alcoholic. But come on, you got to take advantage of these opportunities when you get them. Going on vacation, going on a work trip, during a long layover. If my flight gets delayed by an hour, I am finding the nearest bar and I am grabbing a cold beverage, a domestic light lager of some sort. I am shocked that the airport beer made it to me at number 6, but I'm very happy about it.
Okay.
That's fair. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. If
That's
you
good.
have time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get a drink for sure if I ever have time.
See, that's the,
I get
that's
there
the
early to
difference.
drink
Well,
the
that
beer.
depends.
I don't know if this is a woman thing, but Cheyenne will get to the airport every time. We're like always having to hustle and bustle through it. I like to get there a good hour and a half before.
Mosey on in.
I want to hang out.
Absolutely.
See who's on our plane so I can be like, I hope I ain't sitting next to them.
And sometimes the problem with Nashville, though, now is sometimes you even plan for that because I'm one of those who actually does like to get there early. But I swear you never know what that airport is going to do.
Right.
Or how it's going to be. And so sometimes that derails your plan.
So,
and
yeah,
then
that's-
it just makes you off.
That's what I'm worried of that you're going to do here is derail my plan.
So
by
y'all don't valet
drafting
y'all
my beer.
cars? Y'all don't valet your
Yes.
cars and just walk right in?
Okay.
God.
The Nashville Airport does
about
have
to
a
get clipped
very
from this
good valet system.
segment.
Very good. No, honestly,
We
like
got
it's
to
fair.
find something he does wrong, y'all. We
Oh,
got
my
to
goodness.
catch him doing something bad.
Y'all don't valet your car?
Oh, my God.
I love it.
All right,
So where I'm going with this one, and this might be something where not everybody enjoys, going to these events, but I say when you are at these events, it lets you be a little more free. Maybe you start singing a little more. I like to have a beer or a drink at a music festival or a concert. You just
Concert
you
beer.
start to sing a little more. You start to
Interesting.
sit
Dang
back,
it.
relax a
I
little
didn't even have that
more.
on my board.
Like
I didn't either.
What a
like
snag.
some of these
Concert
festivals coming up
beer.
like Bonnaroo, where you just want to sit back, have a cold one, and really enjoy the moment.
Yeah, the concert beer definitely
Concert
makes
beer.
the lyrics better.
Those are difficult for me because I don't want to have to go to the bathroom during a song that I enjoy.
Bring a
I'm
Gatorade
serious.
bottle.
Okay,
You got to get the lawn seats. You got to get the lawn
We got
seats.
kids, man. We're trying to keep my guy off that pedal list, okay? Like, what are we talking about here?
Just go in the tent. Go in
He's a
the
69.
tent.
Hey, this is what Kendrick said about Drake.
This is not Dwight Schrute in the back of the car on the way to Stamford, Connecticut.
Kayla's breaking out the shiwi. She's standing up and back there.
Oh, don't act like I've done it before.
I don't want
I
to
spent
know
time in
that.
the woods camping, all right?
Before any of us get arrested, Robert,
I got some back-to-backs here for you guys.
You do.
Let's go.
Okay, so my second one, glad it's still on the board, is what sparked this entire discussion, the shower beer.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
If it
Shower
got
beer.
back to me, I was going to take it.
You can't blame me.
A shower beer.
You got to scoop up that fallen talent. And the next one, this is where I'm going to go a little off the beaten path. It's something you can only do in certain states. It is the passenger beer, the beer that you get to drink while someone else is driving. Because when you've been pre-gaming, there ain't nothing better than somebody being, all right, we're about to go to the bar. Okay, let me finish this beer. No, grab another one. You don't have to. What do you mean? What do you mean finish that beer? Top it off. Come on, let's grab two of them. Hit the road. Because as long as your driver is sober, you can get pulled over. It don't matter. As long as you got somebody behind the wheel that hadn't had a whole deal, you're in the clear.
That is how we sparked that whole conversation with the Tennessee State Trooper that called in.
Yes.
And
I still got
talked
to
to
go on my
Ramon.
ride along.
He was like, yes, you are allowed to do that.
And you can have a beer while you do it.
Mixed drink,
Let me
too.
text
A flask, moonshine, whatever you want.
We don't discriminate.
This morning.
Kayla, your third pick.
Here we go. So maybe it was just me growing up, but I feel like everybody's had these experiences. And then if you're out doing it nowadays with the kiddos, but the campfire beer. Like, man, when you're out camping or you're by the fire pit, like you got to have the s'mores and the beer. And I think that is for some, whoever does that or enjoys doing that, that's kind of a necessary.
Yeah.
Once again, I am shocked that this pick has made it all to me and that no one in Party Cove on Old Hickory Lake has taken the boat/lake beer.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than having a beer in a koozie. You've got the life jacket on. You hop into the lake and you hold the beer above the lake. And you can sit there and you're sitting in the lake and you take a sip of the drink and then you're just vibing. You're hanging out. There's music playing. Somebody's driving the boat. The boat lake beer. I feel like that's an important distinction. Boat/lake beer. Not like a boat/cruise, like ocean cruise kind of situation, like the lake beer.
I've never did that one. So I got a couple honorable mentions I think we need to bring. I've never done that one.
Don't give us ideas.
Yeah, come on, what are you doing?
Trying to win?
Do you guys want to draft this guy?
You get two more picks. It's a 4-round snake draft. Once again, the details. 4? Yes, I've said this like 80 times in this segment.
You think we be listening to you?
Robert even asked in the break, and I said, yes, it's 4.
All right.
One of these days, y'all will listen to me.
Yeah, I know. All right. Cool. I got you. I got a good one. I told I'm pandering to the crowd. This one is legit, okay? The post-argument beer.
This is where you lose me every time.
Like that you said
This is what do you? There are so many good options on the board for you to take the post-argument beer.
I don't care if it's with your brother.
What does that even mean?
I don't care if it's with your old lady, your husband, or who. At the end of the day, where cases have been rested, does the defense rest? Yes, Your Honor. Does the prosecution rest? Yes, Your Honor. And you know what? She mad, I'm mad, so I don't give a damn. I'm going to go sit down and have a beer. Like that, the post-argument beer makes all the sense. How come y'all don't get this right now, man? The nerves got to be calmed down after that.
It's not that that's a bad pick. It's that there are so many better picks on the board.
To you, I'm pandering to the crowd. It's dudes that feel this right now.
All right.
The post-argument
Take
beer.
your last pick.
My last pick is the sitting on the couch eating a bag of chips beer.
The couch beer. Okay.
The couch potato beer.
What kind of chips?
In my later 30s, regular Lay's work for me.
Let's go!
I'm talking about yellow bag Lay's
I'll eat
work
the whole
for me.
thing. I eat the whole bag.
Or the Ruffles. Plain.
Yes.
Those two right there, because you do Doritos, anything else, it messes up the profile of a beer.
Too much.
Regular Lay's or some Ruffles beer on the couch, couch potato beer.
There you go. There you go.
I love when Ramon fizzles out like that.
Okay.
All right. The last pick that I have, I was very nervous. Ramon was going to take this with his last pick because I know you and I know the way you spend your time sometimes on weekends. It's the mowing the lawn beer.
Ooh.
On the lawnmower in the middle of a summer day.
Come on.
I don't even have a lawn.
But what if you have to push it?
How did I?
You got to get a cup holder.
You get the cup holder on there. Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Nothing comes between you and that brew.
Okay.
Absolutely.
There ain't nothing better than if you can smoke a cig at the same time.
Oh,
on a
my
pushing
gosh.
mower.
I'm telling you.
Sometimes I got to tell the wives
All
of the
right,
neighborhood to
Jim
get back in the
Irsay.
house. I'll be out there shirtless, drinking a beer, smoking a cig, mowing the yard. Could you get mine next? No, honey. I mow one yard.
I don't know how that came to me as the guy who lives in an apartment that doesn't even have a lawn to take the mowing the lawn beer, and I still am taking the mowing the lawn beer. That is one I had slotted as a second or third round pick. I'll give you the other ones I had. I went like 30 deep on my notes app on my phone on things that I can do for this. But
The issue is lawn beer, just character issues. You never know what that guy is. Is he a stand-up father? Is he an alcoholic? You don't know. There's a very designated
really an athlete.
line.
Yeah, right? Not really.
all right, 2 more picks. Finish us off.
Okay, so
Whoa.
this is something where maybe you're on vacation, maybe you're getting ready for something, but the pre-funk beer,
The pregame?
The what?
pre-game beer,
Yeah,
that's
pre-game.
we called it pre-funk growing up.
I've never heard the word pre-funk
yeah,
in
so
my entire
before
life.
you actually go
Like
Okay.
to
pre-function.
your pre-function,
Shut
pre-funk,
up, okay?
pre-game beer,
Yeah.
you got to get it done.
I'm
You
with
gotta have
that
a little
one.
bit of a
That
buzz.
makes sense. That makes sense to me. Bert's on
enough.
the phone right
Okay.
now. Oh.
No, I'm off. I'm in here. I'm a pro. I can talk on the phone. I can talk to these guys and do this show at the same time. Don't you worry about me.
We got.
They call me Robster the Lobster back here. I'm just
I
my
ate
claws all
lobster
over.
this weekend.
This is a tough one because I don't know if y'all are going to allow me to do this. But my favorite beer I've ever had was I was working with my dad one day. We had to, I don't know if y'all ever had to fence before, but we was going all the way around his electric fence in his pasture. And it is long, arduous work. It is hot. You got to walk a long way. And after that, I'm not going to say how old I was, but my dad let me have my first beer. So with the last pick in the draft, I would like to draft the first beer you have with your dad.
First beer.
First dad beer.
First dad beer.
My dad don't even listen to the radio. Don't all this.
How'd you get sentimental at
I
this
really,
point on us?
I really thought that you were working up to say the underage beer. I really thought that's what you were about
I mean,
to say.
I'm neither going to confirm nor deny that I was
Right.
not the legal drinking age at 21. But
Depending on what corner store you hit.
hey, but it was the
Accusation.
grossest. It was the grossest beer, and I happily drank the whole thing just because it was my good old daddy.
Okay.
Hey, since we're past the statute of limitations on this one, man, I bought my first beer at 18. Graduation party.
Really?
Crazy.
If
Yeah.
we
Look at
keep
you,
drinking
rule-
like this, we
rule
might
abider.
go past the.
Oh, never mind. You weren't a
Y'all
rule
are going to walk
abider.
all over this terrible joke.
I did. What are you talking
If
about?
we keep drinking like this, we're going to get past our statute of libertations.
Ooh,
That's really good.
now we're
That was really
on a
good.
different pun.
No, it ain't. That wasn't good at all. That was terrible.
I really hope the people in Asheville like dad jokes, because otherwise we're in trouble. All right, so the final teams, I've made the graphic. I'll tweet this out imminently.
Okay.
Robert's team, beach beer, shower beer, passenger beer, first beer with your dad. Kayla goes baseball game beer, concert beer, campfire beer, pregame beer. Ramon goes tailgate beer, cookout beer, post-argument.
I got a lot of guys agreeing with me. I got a lot of guys
And
agreeing
couch
with
beer.
me.
I was even trying to laugh. I couldn't keep a straight face.
That's great.
I have golf course beer, airport beer, lake beer, and mowing the lawn beer. There you go.
We
We will
missed a
post
lot of-
that in a moment as a
good stuff.
poll for you to vote who picked best. Honorable mentions.
A very popular one in the chat was the fishing beer.
Oh,
Fishing
yeah.
beer is good.
That's a good one.
I saw CJ on Twitter said ski slope beer, which was also on my list.
That's
Right.
a thing.
I've not been skiing, but if I was to go, it would be Blue Moons and Coors Lights
Yeah.
only because you have to drink beer that is as cold as the Rockies when
Yep.
you're in the Rockies.
And plus, when you go down those slopes, like you got to be fearless sometimes. So you got to have a little bit in you. At least that's how I did it.
Fearless, but not beerless.
Yes.
Fearless, but not beerless.
My other ones, I had 7 hours of commercial-free football beer.
Oh my god.
I was this close.
Oh,
I was going to
My
go with that as my
gosh.
last pick of the 7 hours of commercial-free football beer. But I felt like
great.
mowing the lawn was just a little bit. It was too obvious of a pick, right? You don't go for the sleeper when you still got a big time prospect that falls to you. I had the Cinco de Mayo Cerveza as an option. I also had the St. Patrick's Day Guinness.
Okay.
Was on my list.
I will say
what else?
also, I mean, what was it? D.H. Minster says on there the end of the day beer. That matters.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
true.
good
That's-
one.
And I'm
Basic, gets the job
A
done.
very specific one. I think you just alluded to it though too.
Mm-hmm.
But the Mexican restaurant beer. Like tacos with a Modelo.
Cinco de Mayo.
With a cerveza. Oh my God! With the lime, push the lime in the bottle beer.
Push the
Goodness sakes.
With the lime.
You get what I'm saying. It don't make no sense, but you get what I'm saying.
Also, you have the poker beer. Playing a game of poker, just sipping on a beverage.
Yeah.
I like it.
I had two that I was surprised. Free beer.
Oh my!
The free beer is always good. You can't.
That's a great point.
Can't be upset at the free beer.
It's a great point.
And the winning flip cup beer. I don't know if you guys have ever you chug that beer and you can turn around and your whole team's got them cups sitting on their heads.
Yeah.
It's like time stops, sound stops, and it's a slow mo of just you dogging your best buddies on the other side of the table. I've been in more fights about flip cup games than I have about any other drinking game ever.
That's fair. Darius has one of mine. I had the team one lost beer always hits too.
That's a bathtub beer for me.
That's a bath beer?
Yeah, I just get the water as hot as it goes, light you a cig up, and drink a beer in the bathtub.
Yeah, definitely the post-winter lost beer works.
Kyle says gaming beer.
What about
I like that.
The end of the tailgate beer before you leave?
You already did
Okay,
tailgate.
now you're
tailgate
With my
tailgate is a
These are the
whole outing.
details you needed when you were
I
trying
would
to get
like
to the
to
Titans
select
facility.
after the tailgate beer.
The details.
Coming up, we will wrap up the show. Final call for phone calls. More headlines on the way out.
It's Ramon Foster here with Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Just got to ask you a simple question. Have you ever had a contractor supposed to come over to your house and they take forever and a day to show up and you just sitting around wasting your time? Probably got to have a couch beer to wait on them because, again, that's just wasting your time. Well, guess what? You don't have to worry about that with Hiller. When you book an appointment with them, with one of the contractors and techs that come by, you'll get a specific time on when they will show up. They'll give you a call right before they show up. And guess what? If there's any changes to their plan to show up to your house, they will give you a call to alert you of that. More times than not, especially in my situations, whenever they were scheduled to come, they usually come a little bit earlier than expected. They are just great with that. They're prompt. They're very professional. They'll send you a picture. They'll send you a text with the picture, license plate, and the truck of the tech that will be showing up to your house. Hiller's the best company around for these types of things, whether it's your plumbing, heating, cooling, or electrical. This month also, you got to take advantage of the $99 drain cleaning special. So before the summer peak temperatures hit on that HVAC system or all things around your house, get Hiller over to your home. You can visit them at happyhiller.com today.
Wrapping up the show on RKW here, 104.5 The Zone. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. It'll be Friday. We'll act like it tomorrow. You guys will act like it. I will be on a plane out of town.
Nice.
I'll be back Monday.
Where are you going again? Kansas City.
I'm going to broadcast a track meet that is in Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta. Okay.
Track meet is in Atlanta.
Got it.
The Edwin Moses Legends meet featuring Matt Bowling, my long-lost brother, Jasmine Camacho Quinn, Olympic medalist, and world record holder and gold medalist Sydney McLaughlin.
Same spelling of last name, too?
Yeah, it is the same spelling.
That's impressive, actually.
Impressive.
A white dude from Texas that spells the last name the same way I do. That is very rare.
I would have definitely thought y'all were related if it was a black dude from Texas, but definitely white dude from Texas. Definitely.
Paul in Franklin is called in, 615-737-1045, talking best beers and best places to drink them. What's up, Paul?
Paul?
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning, Paul.
It's great to be alive. It's great to be alive and be in Tennessee. Well, I listened to all y'all's suggestions and everything, and all of them were great. But there's one thing that separates, I guess, you guys from us professional beer drinkers. Y'all ain't professional beer drinkers. the number one greatest beer there is to drink is the hangover beer the next morning from the night before. When you grab one and slam it down, that's the best beer there is.
Hey, Paul.
That requires Rocky Top. God bless y'all. Y'all take
That was good.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul sounds like a real vet in the game, man.
So the caveat to this we might give, other podcasts and shows that have done this have just given out the 4 teams and not told people whose they are.
Okay,
there's one podcast I listen to.
What are you trying to do with this?
I'm trying to say that people can pick it based on what the best teams are. This is not something that I came up with the idea
after the fact? Because I'm leading the poll right now. Is that why?
Are you leading the poll?
Yeah,
I did not know.
She's
that.
35. I'm in second place.
Okay, there you go.
God dang it. I need my old account back. ASAP AP.
No, it's that way you pick the best team. There's not bias of like, well, I just like this person the most, so I'm just going to pick them.
Oh, my gosh. Scooby, what is wrong with you? He puts the funeral beer.
Oh, my gosh.
If we want to do that moving forward, I mean, by all means.
Yeah. Hey.
By all means.
That's what I'm doing. Ain't no, well, you got the most followers right now, so, hey. It's
we
all
also.
good. I'm not mad.
It is true. That is a statement of fact.
That doesn't mean they're going to vote for me just because that does not mean that.
I think you won all of them last year.
Lies, Kayla.
No.
No, you won every single one.
Because I'm a girl, I can't win. Is that what it's about?
Is that what I said? Is that what I said?
Nobody made it a girl
Please
thing.
show me. Roll the tape back where I said that.
No, I'm just saying.
No. Roll the tape back where I said you're not allowed to win because you're a girl.
We could have thought about this
Good
before
Lord.
we did our first draft.
No.
In fact, I did think about this,
we could
and
have
I
thought
said
about
it. I
that.
said it last year, and you had this exact same response. So
I
did
don't
say
care
this.
about not putting it in. I have no problem with
You
anything.
clearly do.
No.
You're the one who brought up it after the fact.
Fight.
I forgot about it. Go
I
ahead.
could give a rat's you know what.
I don't believe that.
But I think that I don't care who wins at the end of the day, okay?
Oh,
Here's my thing. You have the most followers.
Set it up in the best context.
You do have the most followers right now.
That's not my fault.
It's Elon's fault for Ramon.
I can't wait till I get my account back. I'm crapping on everybody at this station when I get my 80,000.
Don't pick on me.
No
one's picking on you.
Don't you
I
dare.
did not make a statement about you. I said, if we want people to pick the best teams, regardless of who picked them,
But
and
who
just say
says they're picking them just based on the names? I want you to.
I never
want
said
feedback
that
on
either.
I want feedback on
Team
that.
A, B, C, and D. There, I'm finally done with my sentence. Okay. There we go.
I can't wait till I get
We
my
should
account
have just started it though from the start.
I can't wait till I
saying.
get my account back. I'm skewing
Well,
the
you go
views.
set a meeting up with Elon.
If I can get in touch with him, he got me talking to all his AI people now.
Jake responds on Twitter and says, Bert's picks, and it's a picture of Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and Klay Thompson.
Who?
What?
It's a picture of the Golden State Warriors when they were elite, and it says Bert's picks.
Okay.
So Jake on Twitter, big fan of Bert's picks.
He knows ball.
He
does
not
know ball.
know ball. Absolutely not.
There you go.
Beach beers. It's up. It shows up. But my selections are the best, and there's no other way around.
I would like to throw.
I would hope we all thought ours.
I would like to throw one more beer in there. It is the post beat down of the Steelers beer. Anytime the Steelers lose and you get to drink a beer, that is a good beer.
Let me guess. You've only done that 1 out of 8 times. So
I think it's 1 out of 7. I think
it's 8. We've won 7 out of 8.
Come on now.
By the way, the pizza beer.
Playing 2 times a year. Simple math, Bert. That's 4 years. Now, you thought you was going to win that argument,
Dude, he really came in here to clobber me, man.
Yeah,
Ramon Foster hit me with a trap right there, pulled on me.
Not quick enough. You got to be quicker than that.
By the way, the pizza beer. I liked that one. I just saw that one in the chat.
Pizza beer?
Yeah.
I don't drink. Well, yeah.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
You go to 5 Points and have a beer and pizza.
And dang, when you're at Chuck E. Cheese, you need one if you're a parent.
Chuck E. Cheese sell beer?
Well,
We
when you're a
honestly,
parent at Chuck E.
we missed the best pick.
Which one?
What?
Number 1 overall. The free beer.
Free beer.
And you mentioned that, Bert.
Free beer was it.
The free beer should have been picked by somebody. There you go. That's the show. That's the week. Go vote. And tomorrow morning, you guys will continue acting like we kind of gave you an extra hour of Friday, Ramon, Caleb, Will. This
I
morning.
felt like it's a Friday. Can we not come in tomorrow?
We can try.
Okay.
That's up to y'all. Ramon sent us home.
Hey, good people, you must remember at all times, your Twitter fingers and your mic, and I should win this contest, are always hot.